Anything that anybody needs to put on the record this morning? Thought we had everybody. Are they just out in the? We haven't seen them. Okay. Can somebody give them a call or a text?
I know what it is.
Okay, Mr. Atkins, you know whether we have Sergeant Gaither? I mean, I know we're a few minutes before 9 still.
My understanding she would be here by 9.
Okay,
I'll check to confirm.
I'm sure she will be.
Your Honor, I also want to let the physical boards, oh, I'll wait, but if
We don't have anybody for. All right. Good morning. Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Atkins.
Your Honor, I was just going to let defense counsel know the physical boards with the phone records they're right here.
Okay.
And so if anyone wants to come over, I'm happy to share with anyone.
Okay. Thank you. The boards he was having made up. Yeah, now's good. We have a few minutes before we have the jury ready anyway.
person you're trying to reach is not available. I repeat, the person you're trying to reach is not available. You only got one person to depend on, and that's yourself. So now what you want to do? Fucking pray. You're not going forward. You're not going to lay face down in the motherfucking expressway or the highway. Now you're going to get up and go and get it. Let's go. I'm with you. Peace.
My name is Brittany and I'm 37. I've been getting treated with Botox Cosmetic for 8 years now, and today I'm doing a top 10 Q&A to cover my most asked questions about Botox Cosmetic treatment.
I love talking with the young hustlers. Just got off a phone call. Nice phone call with Paul Greasy. You know, he's one of the most talented artists, not even just Miami, but in the game. You heard me? So I love when niggas still
Yes, I'm not suggesting. Thank you. You may answer.
Yes.
All right. Do you recall during the interview where you spoke with Mr. Zachary talking about a person named Gucci Red?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And do you know whether she has any children by any particular people?
I know of one,
Who?
Mr. Williams.
So when Mr. Zachary said Gucci Red, Thug's baby mama, this person, you know, to have a child with defendant Jeffery Williams?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 526 Yankee Charlie, page 181, Your Honor, for the record of 526 Yankee. Do you recognize the people depicted in 526 Yankee Charlie?
Yes.
And how do you recognize them?
I've seen a photograph of this Gucci red person before, and I obviously recognize Mr. Zachary.
All right. The state tender States Exhibit 526 Yankee Charlie as evidence.
Admitted.
Would you read for the jury the date that Mr. Zachary posted the photo of himself and Gucci Red to his Twitter account at rock Lil D, underscore Lil D?
October the 20th, 2014.
All right. Now, with respect to Mr. Zachary's Twitter name, does he spell it ROC underscore Lil D, or does he spell it a different way?
The C is replaced with a 5.
Within your expertise as a gang expert, does that 5 have any significance to you?
For members of blood gangs, the number 5 represents their gang. They will normally replace if it's a letter C with the 5 or X out the C due to their rivals being the Crips.
Okay. Do they ever X out the C and replace it with the letter B as in Bravo?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Holding up for the jury, do you have that available for display? Holding up for the jury, States Exhibit 526, Yankee Charlie, Mr. Zachary and Gucci Red.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Jake. I've been working at Miso for many years. We've been currently in the fast food industry cooking in live.
Did you mean to tender J? Because you haven't tendered J.
I do, and thank you.
It's okay.
As we put 526 Yankee uniform up and blow it up on the screen, please tell the jury the date that 526 Yankee uniform was posted to Mr. Zachary's Twitter account.
March 1st, 2015.
And is there a phrase underneath it?
You dig?
Okay. Could you blow it up? can blow it up a little. Okay. Thank you. And would you tell the jury the person whose face is shown on the screen at this moment in the upper left-hand portion?
Shannon Jackson.
Show the rest of the faces. All right. And the one in the middle
Antonio Sledge.
and the one on the far right side as we face the photograph.
Quindarius Zachary.
Okay. Are you able to see any more clearly what's going on with Mr. Sledge's hand?
Looks like he's making a blood hand signal.
Okay. And is that the capital B?
Yes.
I'm now going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 526 Yankee Tango, and ask you if you recognize the persons depicted in 526 Yankee Tango, which is page 117 of State's Exhibit 526 Yankee.
Yes.
Is that an accurate depiction of the persons in 526 Yankee Tango?
Yes.
The state tenders 526 Yankee Tango as evidence.
Admitted.
Can we publish that and blow it up? Would you tell the jury the date that 526 Yankee Tango was posted to Mr. Zachary's Twitter account?
January 18th, 2015.
And what caption does he place underneath it?
Them B words, no, I'm hot. S word, I got at Bentley_BB. He stand behind me with all the benefits with 2 money bag emojis. I'm sorry. Which part you need? With all the benefits. With 2 money bag emojis after.
And if we could slide up to show the jury the persons in the picture, the persons, my apologies,
No, you're okay.
in the yellow cap, who is that?
Kelvin Treadwell.
OG Bentley?
Yes.
And the person next to him?
Quindarius Zachary.
Now, BB, do you know Kelvin Treadwell to go by that as well, or no?
No.
Okay. But at Bentley, do you know him to go by Bentley?
Bentley, yes.
All right. And did we get the date that was posted? Can we bring it down?
Yes.
Showing you now what has been labeled as State's Exhibit 526 Yankee Romeo. And I'm asking you if you recognize the person depicted in 526 Yankee Romeo.
Yes.
Who is the person, or how do you recognize the person depicted in 526 Yankee Romeo?
I arrested him.
Okay. Is that an accurate depiction of the person depicted in 526 Yankee Romeo?
Yes.
The state tenders 526 Yankee Romeo as evidence. Could we publish? Permission to publish. Would you tell the jury first the date that 526 Yankee Romeo was published to Mr. Zachary's or posted to Mr. Zachary's Twitter account?
January the 12th, 2015.
The 12th. And what is the name underneath, or the caption underneath the handle Lil D at rock_Lil D?
Hard Nard.
Who is the person depicted in 526 Yankee Romeo?
Demise McMullen.
Okay. And this date that's posted, is that 2 days after the murder of Donovan Thomas?
Yes.
During your interview with Quindarius Zachary, did he, or do you recall him discussing Demise McMullen and where he was in the days after the murder of Donovan Thomas?
Yes.
Do you know what a Sprinter bus is?
Yes.
Would you describe or explain to the jury what a Sprinter bus is?
It's basically a high-end van style vehicle. Normally has larger seats, television screens. Just it's a van, but it's created to be more of a comfortable ride than like an actual minivan. That's about the easiest way I can explain it.
Is the surrounding shown in states 526 Yankee Romeo consistent with what you know a Sprinter bus to look like?
Yes.
At any time during your interview or any other time, did Quindarius Zachary deny knowing Nard or Demise McMullen?
No.
And is this the person he said he knew since he was 12?
Yes.
Does seeing the photograph in 526 Yankee Romeo corroborate any of the information that you got from him in your interview in August 2015?
Yes.
Showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 526 Yankee Hilo. Do you recognize the people shown in 526 Yankee Hilo?
Yes.
Have you seen those persons, those people in person before?
Yes.
Are those accurate representations of each person depicted in 526 Yankee Hilo?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state tenders 526 Yankee Hilo as evidence.
All right, are you saying
Help
K or H?
H.
That's hotel. It's admitted.
Thank you.
K is kilo. I don't know him either. I have a chart.
I'll have the chart in front of me. Thank you. Would you please tell the jury the date that 526 Yankee Hotel was posted to Mr. Zachary's Twitter account?
November 20th, 2014.
And would you tell the jury what the caption is that Mr. Zachary placed underneath that date?
Bullying with my N-word, his birthday at Monte Rebel, 100 emoji, snake emoji.
As a gang investigator, have you ever seen the word bullying before?
I have.
And in your investigations, when have you seen the word bullying?
Bloods will typically replace a word that's spelled with a C with the letter B as representing their gang in disrespect of the C letter for the Crips.
Now, what emojis are placed after at Monty Rebel?
The 100 and a green snake emoji.
And if we would scroll up to the photographs, would you tell the jury, as we hover over the zoomed in photograph of the person on my left, who the person is to my left on the screen as we look at the picture, the marker over there, person to my left, the person that the marker is over now?
Diamante Kendricks.
And the person to his left and my right, who is that?
Quindarius Zachary.
Does this person, to your knowledge, have a nickname that he answers to as well?
Which one?
I'm sorry, the person to my left, Diamante Kendrick.
Yeah, Gotti.
Yakgotti?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I've been provided with the military alphabet. Judge. I'm now showing you what has been marked. State's Exhibit 526, Yankee Golf. Do you recognize the people depicted in 526 Yankee Golf?
Yes.
Is that an accurate depiction of those persons?
Yes.
State tenders 526 Yankee Golf as evidence.
All right, hold on. We got a little bit of a vibe right now. Come on.
Permission to publish. Would you please tell the jury what date 526 Yankee Golf was posted to Mr. Zachary's Twitter account?
November 1st, 2014.
And what is the caption underneath the date of the post?
3 green snake emojis with the red heart. YSL, the number 3 emoji, the number 0 emoji with the word deep.
All right. And as a gang investigator looking at this, how do you read it as the number 3 emoji, and then deep, or as something else?
I saw it as something else.
And what did you see it as?
This represents the gang 30 Deep because it's a member of 30 Deep within the picture.
All right. 3 snakes, red heart, YSL 30 deep?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. As we scroll up in the picture, and who is the person to my right on the picture where the cursor is?
Demikion Garlington.
And the person to his right, is that Mr. Zachary?
Yes.
All right. And who is the person that you spoke of that was a member of 30 deep?
Demikion Garlington.
Does Demikion Garlington have a nickname that he answers to?
Little D.
Showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit. Five 24 Yankee Papa. Do you recognize the people shown in 526 Yankee Papa?
Yes.
Are those accurate depictions of the person in 526 Yankee Papa?
Yes.
State tenders 526 Yankee Papa as evidence. Permission to publish? Zooming in on the date, would you please tell the jury the date that Mr. Zachary posted 526 Yankee Papa to his Twitter account?
January 3rd, 2015.
And who are the people depicted in State's 526 Yankee Papa?
Shannon Jackson and Quindarius Zachary.
And is that Mr. Jackson to my left?
Yes.
And Mr. Zachary to his left, to Mr. Jackson's left?
Yes.
Showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 526 Yankee November. Do you recognize the persons shown in 526 Yankee November?
Yes.
Is that an accurate depiction of the people depicted in 526 Yankee November?
Yes.
State tenders 526 Yankee November as evidence.
A minute.
Permission to publish, Your Honor? I'm assuming it's granted. Go ahead and publish. May we publish, Your Honor?
Yes. Sorry.
What is the date that Mr. Zachary posted 5/26 Yankee November to his Twitter account?
January 1st, 2015.
And who are the people depicted in 5/26 Yankee November? If you could just describe them by what they're wearing or hair or something.
Jeffrey Williams with looks like a white jacket, and Kenneth Copeland with a red hoodie.
All right. And what is the caption underneath the posting date for 5/26 Yankee November?
Ain't going back and forth, all one word.
Is the person in 5/26 Yankee November next to Kenneth Copeland the same person you understood Mr. Zachary to be referring to when he said thug throughout his interview?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Bless you. At any time during your investigation of YSL, before the start of this trial, had you ever heard an alleged acronym THUG standing for truly humble under God?
No.
I'm going to show you what has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 2, Juliet, Juliet, and State's Exhibit 3, Juliet, Juliet. Where did you, before I put these before you, where did you understand the January 6th incident with members of YSL and members of If Gang to have occurred?
Where? Club Crucial and the surrounding streets on the backside of it.
All right. Showing you States 2, Juliet, Juliet. Do you know where that sign would have been posted around January 6, 2015?
Yes, this is the marquee sign that's directly in front of Club Crucial, closest to the curb, the street area.
Okay. And showing you State's Exhibit 3, Juliet, Juliet. Published 2 first. Would you please tell the jury whether you recognize the location of 3, Juliet, Juliet?
Yes.
A .world domain name that welcomes and immerses. Own your world at name.com/world.
Is that what area do you know that to represent?
This shows the front door of Club Crucial.
And is that accurate as to the way it looked on January the 6th, 2015, during that time?
Yes.
All right. Publishing State's Exhibit 3, Juliet, Juliet. Prior to learning of the incident on January 6th, 2015, after you began this investigation, did you go out to that scene or know that there was any kind of shooting at Club Crucial on January the 6th, 2015?
No, I didn't know when it occurred that it actually had happened.
And did you have any knowledge that Diamante Kendrick had gotten arrested up from this club at that time?
Not at the time, no.
Did you learn about it later?
Yes.
And did you discuss that incident in your interview with Mr. Zachary?
I believe so.
Who was it that or what was it that Mr. Zachary indicated started that whole incident with the shooting?
I believe he stated Mr. Copeland was jumped in the club. Mr. Zachary was inside with Mr. Williams. Several people after the fight exited the club. Another fight happened with Bloody J, where Bloody J was hit in the face. Mr. Zachary stated that he stayed inside with Mr. Williams while everyone else went outside and got their guns to basically escort Mr. Williams out. After they exited the club, members of 30 Deep YSL began to shoot at vehicles with Mr. Shell Kel, which is Kelvin Watts, and other members of If Gang as they were leaving the parking lot area.
Did the information you learned about the incident depicted in 3 Juliet corroborate or help confirm for you any of the information that you got from Mr. Zachary during your interview?
Yes.
Without saying what was said by anybody,
Mhm.
had you gotten from anyone else in any other interviews the details that Mr. Zachary gave you? I withdraw that question. Okay. And putting up on the screen the second photograph that we showed you. Go ahead. Yeah. Yes, 526 Yankee Charlie. Would you tell the jury who it is that they're looking at when you look at 526 Yankee Charlie?
Quindarius Zachary and Gucci Red.
All right. The photograph that you described for the jury as being Quindarius Zachary and OG Bentley, is that the same person who had the spot on Oak Drive?
Yes.
Showing you X-ray. State's Exhibit 526 Yankee X-ray. Do you recognize the people depicted in 526 Yankee X-ray?
Yes.
Are those accurate depictions of the people depicted in 526 Yankee X-ray?
Yes.
State tenders 526 Yankee X-ray.
It's admitted.
Permission to publish.
You may.
Thank you. Would you please tell the jury the date 526 Yankee X-ray was posted to Mr. Zachary's Twitter account?
July 23rd, 2015.
And what is the posting or the caption under the date?
Free DK, green snake emoji. Free slug, green snake emoji.
And as we go down to the persons or the people in 526 526 Yankee X-ray. Would you tell the jury who it is that is shown in that exhibit? Starting from the left. Can we zoom out, Patrol?
Excuse me. The gentleman with no shirt is Jontavius Stevens. Next to him with the red cap is Quindarius Zachary. The person kneeling down with the white T-shirt is Walter Murphy. And the person with the red shirt, I believe that's Quindarius' brother, Tay.
Okay.
I'm not sure of his first name.
Or 80 Yankee. Okay. You got it? 480 Yankee. When you talked to Quindarius Zachary and you showed him a phone number in the interview that you had, do you recall off the top of your head which phone number it was that you showed him that he said, that's not my number?
The exact phone number, no.
Would showing you a copy of the warrant that you, and a warrant that you issued with respect to Quindarius Zachary's phone number, refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness with State's Exhibit 506 Yankee.
All right.
Would you look at that and tell me if it refreshes your memory?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury what number it was that you got from Quindarius Zachary's mother the day that you executed the search warrant at his home?
Area code 404-901-5726.
Did you do anything with that number in order to corroborate or disprove anything that Mr. Zachary told you during the interview on August the 5th? Or had you done anything with that number?
Yes, I had already received cell phone records from the cell phone provider for that particular phone number.
Okay. And did you, without getting into what you found, did you have the means to roughly plot out the location of that phone number during the incident at Adele Andrew Drive?
Yes.
All right. And were you able to corroborate or disprove, for your purposes, any of the information that Mr. Zachary gave you on August 5th, 2015, based on those?
Yes.
There's no foundation for what was plotted. Never been discussed. This witness objecting, and also the jury to determine what is corroborated or not in the facts.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Additionally, Your Honor, Mr. Zachary gave several different statements, including one that he wasn't there. So we need to know, for that question to be answered, we need to know what version of events Mr. Zachary gave that day is being compared to the phone record.
May I respond to Mr. Thank you. With respect to Mr. Steele's objection, Your Honor, we've not asked any particular underlying.
My biggest concern when I was thinking of getting Botox Cosmetic was
losing my expression. I wanted to stay Javi and stay me.
the doctor did great at explaining
questions about the phone records, but there have been continued questions placed upon or made by the defense regarding corroboration. So I'm asking generally, did she make any effort to corroborate the information that she obtained from Mr. Zachary? And then I'm going to ask if she challenged any of it.
All right, and I think that question was specific to the August 5th, 2015 statement.
Interview, yes.
You asked it, so
Yes.
overruled.
And as it relates to Mr. Sharp's objection, if I need to clarify if that's the objection, and I need to, and the court tells me so.
I mean, you asked about it specific to any, you said any, and to that statement, so overruled.
Okay, thank you. So did those phone records corroborate any information that you obtained from Mr. Zachary during your August 5th, 2015 interview?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to talk about challenging Mr. Zachary during that interview. Do you remember, Mr. Zachary, when you first came in, or asking Mr. Zachary, what you want to talk to me about?
Yes.
And do you remember what his response was generally?
Yes.
And how would you describe what his response was?
He wanted me to tell him what information I already had. He wanted me to start the interview.
Okay. And after you told him, no, that's not how this works, you got to tell me what you want. What was his first bit of information that he gave you about that incident at Adele Drive on April 28, 2015? Did he deny being there?
Yes, he stated he wasn't there.
Okay. Now, did you initially say, I know that's not true, or did you talk to him for a while?
No, I talked to him for a minute. I wanted to lock him into a statement.
Why did you talk to him for a minute after getting information that he wasn't there? Did you believe that he actually wasn't there?
No, I already knew that he was there.
Okay. So why did you let him talk to you after telling you something that you believed to be false? Why did you let him give you more information?
At that point, I knew I could disprove what he was saying. I like to give people the opportunity to just say whatever it is they want to say. And once I confront them with facts or information that I already know, more than likely it kind of persuades them to just tell the truth.
Okay. Now, at some point, did you do what you would consider confronting Mr. Zachary with facts or challenging what he had just told you?
Yes.
And at that point, is that where you said, I could just get up and leave?
Yes.
After that point, after you challenged Mr. Zachary, did he acknowledge that he was, in fact, at the scene?
Yes.
Before you talked to Mr. Zachary and he told you about 2 different cars and the people who were in each car,
Mm-hmm.
had you talked with any investigators from the Adele Avenue shooting who told you about a witness who said that they saw someone with dreads shoot?
Sustained.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
How I went from this to this to this one. 5-star tacos. Big difference.
As a youngster, I witnessed things that were real. And then I never experienced it. I would wait for somebody. Think about it like this. All the money he took from Greg Mack, Black Cloud, Jeep Them, but that Kennedy Kane, Day 26, they get all the money he took from loan, base. He took food out people's caring. Craig Mack died. Black Rob died. Sean's situation. The man got to live in Belize. He got a whole new accent now. You dig? The man got to change his whole demographic because it did it. Enough is enough, bro. When I was out, this young cynic, uptown finance, and I'm riding with video when he believed that. What's in the media right now with this police situation? Can we talk about it? Yeah, come on. Let's go. Any communication with me? Anything? I talked to them all via. And I don't think he put that out there. So I'm not going to speak on it. But yeah, I talked to those people. He keeping his head up there. He did. And it's a bittersweet situation, you know, when it comes down to it. Because, you know, I don't want to see no man back there. because I know how I felt being best friend not so long ago. But at the point of other hand, he kind of, I hate to say it, so, but I gotta keep it cheap. When it came down to, what I deserved and what I earned, and the stuff I wrote behind the scenes, and he sold a lot of records for us, and I didn't give compensation. They encouraged to be banned.
So sorry, but do we know each other?
I ran you over.
Clock is ticking.
I'm not particularly interested in a band that accidentally wastes our time.
I probably ought to get going.
Who says?
We did it.
Yes!
Everything is on track in Jira.
We got more media funds.
I'll start the project in Jira. Let's get this in Jira.
With some shit like that, like talk about. Sometimes. So
He said it looked like a deer hunting rifle. My idea of a deer hunting rifle is something with some type of wooden pieces to it. So he didn't go against what I was saying, but his description, I understood what he was saying.
All right. And
that shit changed my whole life because when the hurricane hit,
as you investigated the Adele Avenue and the Drew Drive shootings, did you look at social media pictures or anything like that to try and find any information that would assist you in corroborating or disproving anything anyone told you?
I did.
Now, had you seen anything that looked anything like what you had in your mind as a deer rifle was in the hands of any particular persons during your review?
I did.
Now, who was it that you saw with a deer rifle, or what you believed was a deer rifle during your review of social media?
I saw a social media page with Tredon, Trevante Turner, and Ali Caldwell were sitting on the front porch of a house. And I can't remember exactly which one, but one of them were holding a large assault rifle that had a wooden stock and a wooden barrel piece, almost the same color as his desk. It looked like a deer hunting rifle, but it was an AK-47.
Okay. Now, did you ever, is it fair to say you never saw that, or Mr. Zachary, Mr. Sledge, Mr. Garlington, or Mr. Stillwell, with any photos with what you thought was a deer rifle or a deer hunting rifle?
I didn't.
And the Ali Caldwell person that you spoke
Caldwell.
about? Is that the person that you said had the, what did you call them, trunk dreads?
Like plank.
Plank, thank you, plank dreads.
Mm-hmm.
All right. When you asked Mr. Zachary about the Hill Street shootings, had you taken part or helped in that investigation at all?
I did.
Who all, without saying what anyone said, who all did you talk to during the course of that investigation?
Police or suspects or anyone?
Let's start with police or witnesses.
Okay. Spoke with Mr. Kenneth Copeland in regards to that, and Mr. Zachary. Investigator Dennis was, I don't want to say the lead, he was my partner, but he was specifically assigned to work that particular case, so he was the lead on that.
Let me ask you this. Did Kenneth Copeland tell you that he participated in or that he shot at Hill Street where Lucci's mom lived?
No.
familiar with the person who goes by the name Pokey?
Yes.
And is that person related to anyone in the courtroom?
Yes.
Who is that person related to?
Mr. Williams.
And what is his relationship to Mr. Williams?
I believe it's his nephew.
Did anyone by the name Pokey tell you that he had participated in that shooting?
No.
Did Your Honor, out of caution, I'd like to ask the next question.
All right. You can stay.
Groups like the whole thing, like you first started getting free, what was going to use that action? As a youngster, I was in space. And that fucked me up. You dig? I never experienced it. I only going with this thing, just being around. See, like this thing. Say, shot. Yeah, I did that. So, some of the parties that underneath, yeah. And it would have been a hard. And it would have been a post in any of those parties to get involved. No. But at the end of the day, I've seen it. And I can't sit up there and say I didn't see it. I'm lying. What I seen, I won't say, was a part of anything? No, indeed. I was too young, bro. I wasn't really realizing what was actually happening. And every time, like, I go to the parties in Hollywood and all these places, they'll shut me out of it. They don't want to stay to work. Because I'm not the type of person that just throw people out there. I don't like snitching. I don't like bitter people. So I'm not saying this in no bitter manner. You understand? But I will say, I've seen things. I love doing this here, Wayne. I love being a rapper. I love cutting up project. I love shooting videos.
Do you recall during the time that you and Detective Dennis spoke with Quindarius Zachary, talking to him about the day Lucci's mother's house was shot? Or one of the shootings at Lucci's mother's house?
Yes.
Before you spoke with Quindarius Zachary on August the 5th, 2015, did you have information, any other information that Shannon had a 223 on that day before you spoke to Mr. Zachary?
No.
And before that, did you have any information about the type of gun Woody had at the time Miss Reed's house was shot up?
No.
And before you spoke to Mr. Zachary, did you have any other information about Pokey being involved in Lucci's mother's shooting?
No.
All right, here we go. Today we have Roger Bonds again. TV security from 2003.
Throughout the interview with Mr. Zachary, did he provide you with what you would have considered incriminating information about Kenneth Copeland that you had not previously received from other sources?
Yes.
And what about Mr. Garlington? Did he give you information about Mr. Garlington that you had not received from other sources?
Yes.
You joined in 2003. And before then, you were locked up in Rikers, right? Okay.
Did he provide you with information regarding the January 10th, 2015 murder of Donovan Thomas and what happened before and after that you had not received from other sources?
Yes.
With respect to Antonio Sledge, did Mr. Zachary, during your August 5th, 2015 interview with Mr. Zachary, give you what you would have considered incriminating information about Antonio Sledge?
Yes.
Was that information known to you from any other source before you talked to Mr. Zachary on August the 5th?
Yes. Some of it, yes.
Was all of it?
Not all of it, no.
The information regarding Mr. Sledge shooting at Kel with Wooten, was that known to you?
No.
And would you consider that incriminating information about Mr. Sledge?
Yes.
Did Mr. Sledge ever hint to you at any time during his interview with you that he had anything to do with shooting at a rival gang member?
No.
Did the information that Mr. Zachary gave you about Tay being a person that you knew to be affiliated with MDC, did I get that right or did I get
Yes.
that wrong? Did that cause you in any way to question or challenge?
What are you doing? You spend all this time working out and not making any money from your fitness. Bro, let me show you how you can build your own successful online fitness business in as little as 1 to 2 months. My name is Brandon Carter, and I've been a personal trainer for over 20.
What information you were being given by Mr. Zachary?
No.
Why not when MDC is a different group from YSL?
He provided information that some of it, which I already knew, would.
Your Honor, the assertion regarding it's not bolstering, it is an effort to show.
I'm going to sustain and you can rephrase.
Okay. Why did Mr. Zachary's explanation regarding being from Capitol Homes, him being from Capitol Homes, Mooktook being from Capitol Homes, and Tay being from Capitol Homes have any significance to you?
Sustained. She said, or he said, assumes facts not in evidence.
During the interview, do you recall Mr. Zachary talking about himself being from Capitol Homes, Mooktook being from Capitol Homes, and a third person that belongs to another group being from Capitol Homes?
Yes.
What was that third person?
Tay.
So during the interview, did Mr. Zachary talk to you about him, Mooktook, and Tay all being from Capitol Homes?
He did.
Did that information have any significance to you?
It did.
What significance?
I showed a prior relationship
Between,
those three individuals.
okay, despite the fact that Tay was MDC and Mr. Zachary and Mr. Sledge were YSL?
Yes.
I'll withdraw it. Thank you. I'll withdraw. Why was the fact that those three people had a prior association of any interest in your investigation?
It showed their continued alliance, even though they were from different gangs and lived on different sides of town. Presently, it showed their prior relationship from their roots, which was Capitol Homes.
Did that information in any way help you confirm, corroborate, or disprove the information you were getting from Mr. Zachary?
It made me believe it more. Corroborated.
Sustained.
So not talking about what you believed.
Okay.
Did
Hang on
that,
just a second.
Move to strike.
That'll be stricken.
Please disregard that last answer.
did that information corroborate or disprove for you any of the other information that you got from, and Your Honor, my understanding is her belief is irrelevant, but corroboration towards her, what she considered corroboration is relevant and important. Because, okay, so
yes.
did it, okay, thank you. Showing you 526.
Twisted tea is a refreshing, hard iced tea made with real brewed tea. Keep it twisted.
Yankee Juliet. Or publishing for the jury. Is that location the one that you described as 151 Cleveland, the BP gas station?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, did you go down to any rental agencies yourself to try and locate any rental vehicles that Mr. Zachary talked about Defendant Williams having during the time of Donovan Thomas's murder? You yourself?
Not for the murder, no.
Was that something that Detective Thorpe was primarily responsible for, or was that?
Yes, that was his case. He was a primary.
Justin Cobb, before you heard the name Doo-Wop from Quindaria Zachary, did you know Justin Cobb to be affiliated with any gang?
No.
And did you ever classify or get information that caused you to believe that he was or wasn't?
Confrontation clause.
Overruled.
I don't recall. I don't believe so.
Okay. Was Quindaria Zachary the first person that you learned of the name Justin Cobb from?
Yes.
Now, when you were talking about Doo-Wop and you said, I think either you or Mr. Zachary talked about him being on Yak's IG.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember saying one of the people in the room motioning, or Mr. Zachary actually motioning about height?
Yes.
And at that time, had you already seen Justin Cobb on Diamante Kendrick's IG?
Yes.
Okay. So if he was not someone that you had known of before your interview with Quindarius Zachary. What was the circumstance that you would have seen him on Diamante Kendrick's IG?
He was like a rapper and had some song out. Like, I don't remember exactly how the words go. It was a little catchy little song that I saw on Mr. Kendrick's Instagram page that tagged him in it. But I didn't know the significance of, him necessarily being involved with YSL at the time that I saw it.
And was or is Justin Cobb someone who is significantly short or significantly tall or just average height?
He a little thing. He's small. He's small. Short, rather.
Before talking with Mr. Zachary, did you have information from any other source that Nard was concerned that Woody might fold and tell that Nard, Shannon Yak, and Duop had killed Donovan Thomas?
Objection, Your Honor, confrontation clause.
Information from any other source?
Objection, Your Honor, confrontation clause.
Sustained.
Your Honor, just 1 second. Hold on. Right. When you heard from Mr. Zachary that Nard was worried Woody would fold, that he, and tell police that Nard, Yak, Shannon, and Duop had murdered Nut, was that the first time that you had heard that?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Big Ten, it's an honor to be here, to be among teams with so much tradition. Age-old practices from generations long ago. We'll do our best to keep up. With respect, Oregon.
Okay, am I set? All righty. There's 6.5 million individuals that are unemployed here in America.
And when you heard from Mr. Zachary that Thug asked the members of YSL responsible for killing Nut, why'd y'all kill Nut?
I'm objecting that is a misrepresentation.
Sustained.
Okay, let me play for you. Do you recall during your interview with Quindarius Zachary when Detective Dennis asked, what was Thug's mood like when you all were in Miami?
Yes.
And do you recall or whether that was immediately following the Donovan Thomas murder?
Yes.
And do you recall whether Mr. Zachary said Thug was calm?
He was normal.
Or normal? Thank you.
He was normal.
All right. And do you recall whether Detective Dennis asked, he didn't care, he didn't give a fuck? Do you recall that?
Yes.
And did Detective Dennis ask that question?
Yes.
And did Quindarius Zachary follow that up with sort of an explanation?
He did.
Would you tell the jury what that explanation was for why he said Thug was normal?
He stated because Nut gave the whoop or the green light for members of YSL, so he was just like, whatever, after that.
And when you say Nut gave the green light, when he talked to you about Nut giving the green light, did he also tell you or state that Thug asked, why did y'all kill Nut?
Yes, he did.
And was that the response Mr. Zachary told you was given to Defendant Williams while they were in Miami?
Yes.
And did Mr. Zachary tell you that Thug seemed then satisfied with why they killed Nut?
I'm objecting, best evidence.
Sustained.
Without talking about exactly what was said, do you remember that conversation being discussed with Mr. Zachary?
Yes.
All right. When Detective Thorpe came into the room, did you already know that, or his former, or whether he had a relationship with Mr. Zachary in any other capacity?
No, I knew that Investigator Thorpe had worked at Crawford Long Middle School for years, but I didn't know that they actually knew each other.
Okay. And during the course of your interview with Mr. Zachary, did you understand Mr. Zachary to correct you at any time during the interview if something was inaccurately stated?
Yes.
Other than changing his account of his whereabouts on April 28, 2015, as it related to the Adele Drive shooting, did Mr. Zachary give you changing accounts of anything else during the course of your interview?
No, he was pretty consistent with the information that he did provide.
What about as it related to the guns that he had, and which ones he had, and which person had that gun at what time?
Yeah.
Did that remain consistent over the course of the interview, or did you perceive it to have changed significantly at times?
No, it stayed pretty much the same.
And were you all able to sort of keep up with who had which gun?
It was sometimes confusing, and I would write different things down or say different statements that were what I perceived as what he was saying, and he would correct me and say, no, this person had this or this person did that several times throughout the interview.
All right. After you talked to Mr. Zachary on August the 5th of 2015.
Hard Mountain Dew with 5% alcohol. Sign me up!
Did you do what you had said to him that you would do and tell someone within the district attorney's office the information that you got?
I did.
Now, did you have anything to do with any charges federally that were brought against Mr. Zachary? Did you take out any federal warrants?
No, I didn't.
The proffer that, are you aware of whether Mr. Zachary sat down in a room with investigators 2 years after he spoke with you and Detective Dennis and Detective Thorpe on August 5th, 2015?
Am I aware of it, or was I there? I'm sorry.
Do you know about a 2017 interview with Mr. Zachary?
I heard about it, but
Were you there?
No.
Okay. And between August 5th, 2015 and 2017, during the time you understood that other interview to have taken place, do you know whether or not Mr. Zachary was housed with anybody that he had talked about during the interview?
No, I'm not aware.
Okay. You don't know one way or the other?
I don't know.
Okay. Were you on scene at the compound the night that Lil Wayne's bus was shot up?
No.
During the interview with Mr. Zachary on August 5th, 2015, do you recall sort of deferring to Detective Dennis at some time?
I did.
Did you all discuss the Lil Wayne bus shooting and Quindarius Zachary's presence at the compound during that interview?
Yes, we did.
Is that one of the times you deferred to Detective Dennis?
It is.
Why did you defer to Detective Dennis?
He was on scene the night of the Lil Wayne bus shooting at Club Compound, and it was just kind of one of those things. He had more of an interest than I did. Again, he was on scene. He had firsthand knowledge of what happened and the persons involved, so I just kind of deferred the case to him for him to handle, along with Cobb County PD.
And this is despite, even when you went in to talk about Adele Avenue, you deferred part of it to Detective Dennis for that reason?
Yes, I knew about it, but as far as, intricate details and everyone that was on scene, it was too much for my brain at the minute, so I just gave it to Dennis.
Do you remember how many cars Quindarius Zachary said that he and the group he was with were in the night of the Lil Wayne bus shooting?
Yes.
How many?
I believe he said 10.
Before he said that, did you, not speaking about anyone else, but did you have knowledge or information about a number of cars they were in?
Yes.
From who?
I saw the video from the studio.
And when you talk about the video from the studio, what studio are you talking about?
Vault Studios, located at 675 Metropolitan Avenue.
How did you come to be looking at video from the vault on any particular time?
Investigator Dennis and I went to Vault Studios and retrieved the video surveillance. Well, recorded it and had, I believe, Investigator Teague retrieve the actual video. But we saw a group of vehicles leaving Vault Studios shortly before the Lil Wayne bus shooting.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm going to object best evidence rule if there's a video.
Okay, overruled.
Go ahead.
I saw the video that we obtained, and it showed a group of vehicles leaving the studio before the shooting and arriving back to the studio after the shooting.
Okay. Did you, before you talked to Mr. Zachary, did you in any way alert Mr. Zachary by any member of his family or any other way?
There's that moment in work when there's too many tools and the spark fades. Not anymore. This is the intelligent Canvas. Do in minutes what usually takes hours with AI that uses your ideas and content to create things like summaries and get you started on diagrams. Get an extra pair of eyes on your work with AI sidekicks. When you need feedback or ideas for next steps, take back time to focus on real work with AI-powered interactive workflows like journey mapping, research synthesis, and sprint planning, all integrated, all together, in one place. Innovation belongs on the canvas.
To the approximate number of vehicles that you saw in that video?
No.
Outside of the investigation that was conducted by Detective Dennis in that Lil Wayne bus shooting, did you have independent information that about the details Mr. Zachary gave you during that August 5th interview around this Lil Wayne bus shooting?
No.
Do you know whether Detective Dennis had information during his investigation that could corroborate or disprove parts of what was being said?
I'm not sure.
Have you ever had interviews where you're sort of forced to decide or determine whether somebody is trying to put blame here to get blame from somewhere else during your time as an investigator with the gang unit?
Sustained.
During your interview with Quindarius Zachary, did he give you any indication that his reason for talking to you was to get Shannon in trouble and get Demikian or Rudy or Moonton out of trouble?
Objection, Your Honor, bolstering.
Speculation.
And speculation.
Yeah.
Overruled is to speculation. Overruled is to bolster.
You may answer that question. Do I need to ask it again?
No, I think I understand it. No, it didn't appear that he just wanted to get them in trouble. I took it as he wanted to try to help himself as much as he can by providing truthful information.
Speculation.
Sustained is to speculation.
I also have a motion, Your Honor.
You have a
Motion.
All right. Time for our morning break anyway.
This is never gonna.
It might be in my head though, just because I know I'm slick. And because we've been having conversations and sometimes my wig is still go under me. You know? And it comes a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to move for a mistrial on behalf of Mr. Stillwell. We have, first of all, I'll point out that we've been referring to Ms. Gaither as, I believe, Sergeant, and I say that to say that she is not someone that just came off the street to testify with no understanding of how the process works. She's experienced. She's, I'm sure, testified many times before. She just informed the jurors that her belief is that Mr. Zachary did not want to harm Mr. Stillwell specifically, but that's not my objection. My objection is she testified his intent was to come in and give to get himself out of trouble by giving truthful information. That was absolutely improper. That was vouching for a witness. That was bolstering, and that is the basis from an expert.
Your Honor, my response is that the court very well could and should instruct the jury that as to the witness's opinion about a interviewee's, well, first my response is we vehemently object to a mistrial. Secondly, the court could and should instruct the jury that a witness's opinion about another witness's statements or, testimony or anything that they said is not to be considered by the jury. The jury is the person that determines the credibility of the witnesses. And I can make certain that Sergeant Gaither knows when I'm asking regarding any indication that to not talk about truthfulness, but just to give objectively what indication or whether she considered that there was an indication. Secondly, a mistrial is in no way warranted in this case when Sergeant Gaither did not say Quindary Zachary was being truthful. She said, I perceived, and that is why an instruction would be warranted that her opinion about his truthfulness is not to be considered by the jury. They make the determination about credibility. There is nothing about any of the exchange that just occurred that warrants or in any way justifies a mistrial. At best, an instruction is called for.
I'll also point out, Your Honor, that I initially objected to the question to begin with, and I saw the danger, and the state insisted on asking that question that prompted this response. That was completely inappropriate.
All right, thank you. I'm going to instruct the witness as well. So we'll go ahead and take a break. And when we get back, I'm going to have the witness in and instruct her and then give an instruction to the jury. Going to deny the motion for mistrial.
And Your Honor, I'd like to renew my motion for the next question.
All right, thank you. All right, we're on recess.
I assume we're all joined in that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm often asked, how did you become the largest injury firm in the world? The answer is simple.
What length of time, Your Honor? 10 minutes?
I mean, yeah, 10 minutes. And by the way, that witness, Bernie, if he's not here already, he's on his way, the one who needed to testify in Cobb. So just in terms of scheduling, if y'all want to take him next, he's available.
Okay.
And I knew that we wouldn't be done with this Gaither anywhere near 10 a.m.
I won't feel offended.
Yes. I'm just trying to draft this. Sure. Okay.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much for watching our coverage of the Young Thug trial. Now, I want to take a quick second and I want to tell you about this stream's awesome sponsor, Upside. So what's Upside? Upside.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to instruct you all that this witness's opinion, and frankly, any witness's opinion of anybody else's veracity, that is, whether they're being truthful or not, is entirely irrelevant. It's frankly inappropriate. Strike that from your minds. It is entirely up to you, the jury, to determine any and all witnesses.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Love.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Gaither, without stating your opinion about anybody's truthfulness, would you please tell the jury whether or not you saw any indicator that during your interview that Quindarius Zachary came in to get one person in trouble and to spare Monktunk, Demikian, and Woody? Any objective indicator?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation, bolster.
Sustained.
What's up, big bro? My bad. Just sent your message, man. A couple days late. You meeting me? Yeah.
Did you consider,
All right.
or did you take from Quindarius Zachary the information that he gave to you about Monktunk, Demikian, Shannon, as incriminating, or did you understand it, or did it sort of get them out of situations that you thought they were responsible for?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Overruled.
It was incriminating.
As to all three?
Yes.
When you talk to Mr. Zachary and he encouraged you after Detective Thorpe got in the room to talk to Bushi, she knows. Did you know who Bushi was?
Yes.
Did you know her real name, her given name?
At the time, I believe I did.
Did you make any effort to go out and interview Bushi as it related to the Donovan Thomas murder?
No.
And why not?
It seemed relevant for Investigator Thorpe to interview her, seeing that he was the lead detective on the Donovan Thomas murder.
Okay. And do you know or have any information about whether anyone after Detective Thorpe may have interviewed this person?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Sustained.
All right. When you got information from Mr. Zachary about the 1428 Adele Avenue and 1903 Drew Drive shootings, what people did you take out warrants for? Do you recall?
After his interview?
After. Okay, before or after? Who did you take out warrants for the Adele Drive shooting?
Quindarius Zachary, Antonio Sledge, and Demikian Garlington.
Did either of those people at any time during this incident to your knowledge, have dreads? Either of the three you took out warrants for.
No, they didn't.
Given that those aren't the only three people, and you said after the interview, you questioned me just now, you said after the interview. Did you take out these warrants before or after your interview with Quindarius Zachary?
They were before.
Okay. And after the interview with Quindarius Zachary, did you take out any more warrants?
I didn't.
Why, after your interview with Quindarius Zachary, didn't you take out warrants for Ali Caldwell?
Mm-hmm.
Ali Caldwell, for instance. What was going on?
I didn't have any corroborating information to do so. I tried locating a telephone number for him. To my knowledge, there wasn't an eyewitness that can identify him outside of Quindarius saying that he was there. You know, I didn't have anything else to go on to corroborate what Quindarius stated.
Now, when you say that you didn't, is that the way that, explain why that meant something for you as an investigator? For you personally, not any other entity or any other person, just you.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Sustained.
Okay. What about Tay? Did you want more information about Tay's
Objection, Your Honor,
involvement?
leading.
Overruled.
Did you want more information about Tay's involvement before you took out a warrant for Tay?
I did.
Did you want more information about Shannon's involvement before you took out a warrant for Shannon?
I did.
I feel like I missed somebody. But
Traydon.
Traydon, did you want more information about Traydon's involvement?
Yes.
After your investigation of the Adele Drive shooting, did you cease or stop investigating the back and forth between YSL and If Gang or any other group?
Did it cease?
Yes. Did you stop? Or did you continue looking into other incidents?
No, it was definitely more incidents after.
Okay. And were you responsible for, or were you assisting in investigating those incidents as well?
Yes.
Was 2015, in terms of gang activity,
relevant, prejudicial, and forward.
Excuse me.
Sustained.
Thank you.
I don't know exactly what the question's going to be, but
I'll say the question and the court can make the decision based on the actual question. Was the activity you saw in 2015 that you considered part of this retaliatory shooting, was that more or less activity that you saw in either 2014 or 2016?
overruled.
I'll give
Lay foundation.
Were you a gang investigator with APD in 2014?
Yes.
Were you a gang investigator with APD in 2016?
I was promoted in March of 2016.
Were you with the Atlanta Police Department still in 2016?
Yes.
All right. Are you able to tell the jury about your observations of the number of gang incidents or shooting incidents involving gangs in 2014 and 2016 as it related to the Atlanta Police Department?
An exact number?
No, just are you able to talk about your observations of the amount of gang activity as it related to shootings in 2014?
Your Honor, again, I'm going to, now that we've heard the question, I'm going to object to relevance.
Ms. Lev, maybe ask a different question.
Was the amount of gang activity that you investigated during the 2015 period, where you were looking at YSL and If Gang, was that a usual number of gang-related shootings for you as an investigator?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance, it's the same question.
Sustained.
Now, when you were talking to Mr. Zachary and pictures were placed before him during the conversation about the Donovan Thomas murder, when Mr. Zachary indicated that he saw or that Yak was the person he was looking at, do you remember he asked, was YEK or somebody said YEK?
Yes.
Who was that a picture of?
Mr. Yak, Diamante Kendricks.
Okay. And when he indicated Shannon and said, is it SHANON, who was he looking at a picture of?
Shannon Jackson.
All right. And when he indicated Nard, who was he looking at a picture of?
Demise McMillan.
And when he indicated Duop, who was he indicating, or who was he looking at a picture of?
Justin Cobb.
All right. When you spoke about wanting to, when you spoke about the Browns Mill Road shooting and the surveillance from the Citgo that was shown to Mr. Zachary, do you remember him saying something like, I don't know nothing about that incident?
Yes.
All right. And do you recall the reason why you had him identify who he believed with any amount of certainty was the person Nard? Do you recall why you had him to do that?
To get more corroborating information. That case we were still in the process of working it until we tried to get everyone identified and charged accordingly. We knew that he was involved with YSL members, and we.
I can. No. Did you have information, or were you working on leads as it related to a Nard?
Yes.
The Browns Mill Road shooting?
Yes.
All right. And I think I asked you whether you knew who Nard was at the time that Mr. Zachary signed that piece of paper showing Nard.
Correct.
And am I correct that at the time you hadn't yet identified him, or you had and were still trying to confirm?
I believe I had his name. We were trying to confirm if he was the person in the surveillance video.
Now, when you said something like, did I hear you say Big Nose Nard that had been charged with kidnapping? Did I hear you say something like that during the interview?
I believe Quindarius said that.
Okay. And did you have information that Demise McMullen had been arrested for kidnapping?
Yes.
Did you pull that report, that incident report?
Yes.
And did you also, during your investigation, obtain a phone number for Demise McMullen or Nard?
Yes.
And was that number 404-217-6? Your Honor, I'm asking a question.
Sustained.
Do you recall the number that you obtained for Demise McMullen?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Would seeing, first of all, did you keep a file for that case?
The kidnapping case?
Not the kidnapping case, but for the Browns Mill Road shooting case.
I did.
And did you have that file after you left the Atlanta Police Department?
No.
What did you do with that file?
I left it with the Atlanta Police Department in a file cabinet.
In a file cabinet?
Yes, ma'am.
Describe what that file looked like, if you can, to the jury.
It's approximately, 8 inches thick. It was reddish brown file folder, binder, had clips in it, with a bunch of paperwork.
Did you look at, with the state, any such file before coming here right now?
Did I look at it? Yes.
Okay. And did you recognize that to be the file that you kept? Okay. Would showing you a portion of that file refresh your memory as to what phone number that you had?
Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay. An early lunch. Be back at 1. An early and long lunch.
All right, for jury.
Yeah. All right, if y'all want to take a look at that before the witness gets back.
You, Your Honor?
You're just going to put it back in the condition it was in just a minute ago and then permit them to look at it?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Before we ask Investigator Gaither any questions, I would ask the court to inquire of the state when they received this file and how they received this file, because we're completely in the blind.
Okay.
We went over to the Atlanta Police Department.
When?
Obviously, before.
Is your mic on?
Just before we served, I think we called it complete case files from Operation Planners incident. This is where we got this one, the other ones that were included in that discovery tranche from the Atlanta Police Department. That's where they came from. The one titled Complete Case Files of 2015 Operation Planners. If the court will allow me, I will ask our legal assistants to give me the date that we served the file called Complete Case Files of Operation Planners.
Okay, and so the contents of that file were served whenever that was?
Yes.
All right, what led you to suddenly ask Detective Gaither if this was her file?
As I was looking through for a particular number, I was trying to find both that photograph where Mr. Zachary had signed A515 NARD on the Browns Mill Road photograph. So I was looking for that. And I was just looking through everything that we had. And in looking through it, because I knew I'd seen it somewhere, I found it in this particular file folder. And looking at it, I initially I'll show the court what I was about to show.
Well, why don't you put it back together? And I know we're asking you to do several things at once. So how about put it back together and then you can finish your answer.
Yeah. Hold this. Yeah, it is. The one that is called Operation Planners Complete Case File. That's where this is.
Yeah. Okay, now you can finish your answer as to why this suddenly seemed like it might be Sergeant Gaither's file.
Just pull up Discovery. And I'm pulling up as well the discovery that has been served.
Let somebody else do that.
Okay, someone else is pulling up. So anyway, Your Honor, as I said, I was in trying to, when we were getting ready for Mr. Zachary, actually, I think it may have been another witness, Mr. Murphy, but I remembered seeing somebody's handwriting on a picture of someone at the Browns Mill Road gas station, the Citgo. So as I was looking for that, I started looking for, I said, I remember somebody's signature being on it. I don't remember if I thought it was Mr. Zachary or whomever. In either event, I found this particular, the one that we've entered as, anyway, the one that Mr. Zachary signed. On 8/5/15. I found that and pulled it out and just started looking at it. I didn't know whose file it was, and in fact, I sent a text message to Detective Dennis on a particular date asking him, whose writing is this, on Thursday of last week. And it was a portion of this file that contained a report about Demise McMullen and a kidnapping. And it had Demise Nard McMullen. So I asked Dennis, whose writing is this? And let's see. I don't see where he wrote me back, but while I was in the back just now, I asked Sergeant Gaither, whose writing is this? And she said, I think I asked her in the, like, whose writing is this? And I don't remember whether she said it was hers or Dennis's, but I asked her if this looks like her file. And she said, that looks like my file, what's in it? And I said, here. And I showed her what was in it, the stuff that they were looking at, that I was looking at. And she said, it looks like my file. And so I came out here, and that's what I asked her. I asked her, did she see that? Did I show her? Did she see it? Does it look like her file? And she's answered the way that the court is aware. And we're looking at the discovery that we served, and Mr. Atkins is telling me that we served that in 2022. So I was, well, wait, we're confirming. I'll take that back. We're confirming when it was served. But I know that we provided this information because after I saw that, I went and looked up.
When were the discussions about whether Sergeant Gaither's file existed or was destroyed in the hack or whatever? When did those occur? Before or after that discovery was served?
I think after, but yeah, but I don't think, I know for a fact that this, whatever was discussed, like when I looked through that file, I don't see in that file either anything that was like
actually indicates that it's her. I mean, I didn't either in my quick cursory review of it. In fact, there are some reports from other investigators, and I don't see any handwritten notes or anything like that. But so, I mean, I guess Did you recall at this time that what everybody previously thought was that or Sergeant Gaither's file no longer existed?
Did she recall or did I recall?
Did you recall when you went and asked her, hey, is this your file?
No,
You didn't remember that? Did you remember that? I mean, when she was like, yeah, that might be my file, were you like, huh, so it actually exists after all? Or were you like, not even remembering that it didn't exist?
No, I remembered when they were asking her questions. I think after, but yeah, but I don't think, I know for a fact that whatever was discussed, like when I looked through that file, I don't see in that file either anything that was like
actually
the copy
indicates that it's her. I mean, I didn't either in my quick cursory review of it. In fact, there are some reports from other investigators, and I don't see any handwritten notes or anything like that. But so, I mean, I guess, did you recall at this time that what everybody previously thought was that or Sergeant Gaither's file no longer existed?
Did she recall or did I recall?
Did you recall when you went and asked her, hey, is this your file?
No,
you didn't remember that? Did you remember that? I mean, when she was like, yeah, that might be my file, were you like, huh, so it actually exists after all? Or were you like, not even remembering that it didn't exist?
No, I remembered when they were asking her questions about interviews or certain parts, certain things within that she said were within her file, and I didn't see, that's not in what I have. I've never seen that. So I cannot say, no, I didn't say, oh, this now exists, because nothing that she said didn't exist exists
in there still.
Correct. I didn't see anything.
Y'all, if you want to take a look at it, and if let you ask Sergeant Gaither whatever you want to about it, or if there's still things missing from it. I'm sure that, you know, this is obviously a hard copy paper file, and I imagine in this day and age, people don't download everything from the computer, and maybe she had an electronic file also, and that's what she meant, but y'all can find out.
Can I just clarify the record a little bit?
Yeah.
And I would very much like to look at that file. Last time, and I believe it was last time, I can't recall how many times Investigator Gaither has testified, but I'm going to say last time. She took the stand. There were specific things that she said she did, and they were not in the reports given to us. I'm aware that the state gave us electronic copies of certain documents in 2022. No one's disputing that. She claimed that, well, I did do that and I did document it. I wrote reports.
Right.
And I said, well, where are the reports? Because we had discovery and it didn't have any of these reports pertaining to the work she claimed she did. And so then we talked to Judge Glanville about it, and Judge Glanville kind of summarily attributed it to the hack, which I didn't necessarily agree with, but he also told the state, you need to go to APD and make due diligence, your best to find this file. Everyone was looking for this file. And then apparently the state obtained this file and never reported back to the court or to defense counsel, hey, this file that everyone was looking for, last time Investigator Gaither testified, we found it. This is what's in it. Here you go. Because my understanding, I haven't looked at it, but other people on the team have, the new discovery that was served does not contain that amount of information from the file. That I'm looking at how thick that file is. There's like one police report and a new tranche of information that they're claiming they served after the file, but at no point did anyone from the state tell anyone on the defense, to my knowledge, at least to me, hey, remember that file that you guys were asking about and Judge Glanville instructed us to go find? We actually went and we found this file. And I just don't know how that happens, that we're learning that this missing file has apparently been discovered. I guess we're going to review it to see. I don't know how we learn about that in the middle of direct testimony. That's just tough for me to reconcile with everyone being above board.
Your Honor, I'm reviewing the discovery actually that was served, discovery 1 of 3. When is this? When is this served?
Anybody from the defense that wants to go ahead and take this file and look at it, you're welcome to.
And just for the record,
Sir.
I've been informed April 29th was when Sergeant Lieutenant Gaither testified previously.
April 29th of this year. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
8/2/22 is the date that those items were served in discovery. Is it 2?
And by those items, you mean
What's in that?
the contents of this brown paper file that's about 1.5 inches thick. Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what I'm looking at now, and I'm looking through.
Okay.
This is what has been
And
pulled
so
up.
it's, I mean, y'all can.
And so I cannot speak to, I can't speak to anything regarding the stuff that was asked about that didn't exist because, one, I don't see it, I don't have it, and.
All right, why don't both sides either confirm if you can or otherwise whether the contents of that file, whether labeled at the time as belonging to Sergeant Gaither or not, were served back in 2022.
It appears that.
Ask again for the date of service of that.
It looks like we served one, the date that I just gave, we served August. What was the other one? The first one, August.
She said 8/2/22.
And 7/11/22 as well. That's what I'm looking at.
And can I ask one more question? Do you know where in the consolidated discovery at the hard drive?
At 3236, there's 3 PDFs. It's a discovery. It's like 600 pages of PDFs. You can buy them all. My spidey sense, I haven't physically looked through that today. I'm pretty positive those 3 PDFs are those documents because that's not a new file. That's like the same file that created that discovery back in July.
And where again in the consolidated?
Act 30-36.
30-36.
Correct. And it should say discovery 1 through 2. And discovery 1 is July 11, 2022. That's what I think that is.
So it may be that the only thing that's new is that it now maybe realized that this is actually whatever part of Detective Gaither's file still exists.
It's new to us.
I mean, it's my understanding from what Ms. Love has said that it's new to her as well as of today.
No, that we had the red files. We scanned red files.
That it might be Detective Gaither's.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes,
yes.
that I didn't know.
I know. Okay. And I mean, I'm just going to offer again with the Ms. Love, maybe when you talked to her outside and she said whatever she said to indicate, yeah, that might be my file, that you come in and you say to your opposing counsel, hey, you know what? The file of Detective Gaither's that we thought was entirely gone, well, you know what? Apparently a part of it is this portion that we sent you 2 years ago. You know, I mean, it just
I
would
do
make
understand,
things
but
easier.
I just want to make clear that this is not something that was we tried to conceal from anybody, given we served this.
I understand, obviously, if they confirm that they already have the contents, that's not necessarily up for debate. It's just that the knowledge that it's Sergeant Gaithers is new. And when you learn it, it'd be nice to share it with the other people.
And yes, Your Honor, I understand what the court is saying, but I do also remember when when questions were put upon this witness about the items that she had in her file, no one brought to her the discovery that they already had and said, is this what was in your file? Where is
Apparently nobody knew where this came from.
They knew that this was Detective Gaithers, that this was Sergeant Gaithers' investigation. So I don't.
The stuff we were questioning her about was not in the discovery. She was claiming she did.
Is it?
That was not provided.
And it may still not exist. And we all know, I can't remember the dates of the hack, but we all know, because we practice in Fulton County, that there was some gigantic, what we call hack of the whole city, and APD legitimately lost a whole lot of files that were never able to be recovered. So, I mean, that's just a fact.
But we have a paper file, Your Honor.
I see that.
And the hack does not affect paper files.
I understand that.
Investigator Gaither specifically testified that she wrote reports for certain things. They were in her file that has now been lost.
Okay, and you can ask her when she said that, what did she mean? Because like I just said, I mean, all of us in this day and age have things we print out and things we just keep on an electronic file that only exists in wherever it exists, in the cloud, and we never print it.
And Your Honor, I have also talked to Sergeant Gaither about not what she told them, but in previous, looking at previous information, having reviewed information that I know for a fact she kept on a terabyte drive, I asked, where is that? And she has told me in the past that the terabyte drive where she had all of her information about all of her cases was connected to her desktop computer at the time that the hack occurred. So I don't have access to it. She didn't have access to it. I know that just from talking about other cases.
Okay.
So I didn't ask her specifically about this one, whether this was on that terabyte drive, because those weren't the questions that I put on her. Those were questions posed to her by counsel for each of the defendants. Like, where is this?
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Also, when it's time for Your Honorable Court to rule, just so we don't waste time with the jury, the question is, let me show you something from your file. And I'm going to object because even though it's potentially, sounds like in Sergeant Gaither's file, retired Sergeant Gaither's file, it is hearsay. It sounds like, and I have not looked at it, there were a lot of people looking at the files, but it sounds like it's somebody else's information that somehow got into someone else's report on a phone number of Mr. McMullen. So based upon that, that's going to be my objection. That's how this whole question began. So I just want to give you a heads up.
Okay, and honestly, yeah, it was a question about a phone number, but what was the question going to be?
It was going to be after she talked to Quindaria Zachary, did she attempt to locate, or did she have the kidnapping file?
Right.
Was she able to locate a phone number for Demise McMullen?
Okay.
And I still don't know whose handwriting that is on the phone number information, but it was just going to be what was the phone number.
Okay, well, could she locate one? Fine. What it was would be, I don't know why we have that echo on.
We're good. I think we had one of them. And so initially what I was asking, because the number, it has already come out, that is the number. I think on cross-examination, Mr. Steele asked Mr. Sprinkle, did he find communication between Demise McMullen and Kenneth Copeland is the best I remember. I don't remember, but he specifically asked, did you see calls between Demise McMullen and somebody else? And I came back and said, what number is it that you have for Demise McMullen? Mr. Sprinkle gave 404, that number.
That he thought was it, but he wasn't certain. Yeah.
No, he actually said this is the number. He didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so all that I was doing with Sergeant Gaither is asking her, was that, and I started to ask the number because it was already
You can
in.
ask her if she found the number, but
that's literally
what the number was is subject to a valid hearsay objection. So you can't ask what the number was.
Okay.
How much longer do you expect to have with?
That was literally the last question.
Okay. We can talk about it during the non-jury days we're going to have, but we've got to streamline this case some more. This is, you're just going to have to figure out a faster way to get to what it is that you want from each witness. I mean, in federal court, you know, they might just say you got an hour with this witness. And
do they limit both sides to cross and state?
We'll talk about the witness list next week.
And Your Honor, yes, I understand.
Oh yeah, we'll be done by 10 with this witness, and we haven't even gotten across yet. After having her all day yesterday.
She was here Monday, Judge.
Whenever it was.
Monday was 2 days ago. She waited all day and did not testify.
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is how long she's on the stand testifying and how long every witness is on the stand testifying and how many witnesses there are in this case. It's just a lot.
Your Honor, do the federal, are both sides restricted to an amount of time?
Well, I mean, I would imagine that it's not like they let one side go on forever, but the other side only gets 10 minutes.
And given that the state does have the burden of proof, Your Honor.
I understand that, which is why I haven't done it yet. But y'all need to self-regulate.
I provided the court with those cases, Your Honor.
So do the attorneys want to let your clients go have lunch while y'all examine this, or do you think y'all will be done in a few minutes and you want to question Gaither, or what's our best use of time?
I think we'll be done in
Oh,
okay.
Your Honor, also, I'm being told I have not reviewed the transcript or anything, but I think that Sergeant Gaither may have said that she left APD and didn't have any of her files with her. I don't know, with respect to that testimony, if what was represented is what she said.
That seems to happen a lot, that detectives leave and they don't have access. And then for some reason, the DA's office, who would have access, doesn't seem to be able to get it. But that's just my observation from other cases.
Until they're doing direct testimony.
What we can, we do.
I've been overruled by my colleagues, and we're asking for a little bit of time to review this, and we're asking for our clients to be allowed to.
All right. Well, I don't know if their lunch has quite arrived yet, but it should arrive soon if it hasn't yet. So do we want to reconvene at like 12:20, which would give you all a half an hour, or 12:30, which would give you 40 minutes? Because if we're going to.
It's not here yet.
Not here yet. Okay.
12:20 will be.
Okay. Well, that might not be enough time if it hasn't arrived yet, but.
Oh, you were going to have, okay. I misunderstood. They were going to eat while we were out. Okay.
I mean, ideally. Well, no, there's no way that this group of lawyers can get anything done in 15 minutes. So no, if we're going to examine Detective Gaither before the jury comes back at 1, we need to be back before 12:45 because we're not doing this part in front of the jury. So 12:30. And the defendants can use the restroom before they eat and get that out of the way. All right, see y'all back at 1.
Either her
This game, you're not ready for it.
writing nor Detective Dennis's writing. And so what I believe that this is a copy of her file, the copy that was served on July 21st, 2022, and not her actual original. Even the document that I was looking at with respect to the name Nard Quindaria Zachary has the word copy written on it. So she said her original file would not have copies. It would just have the original. So this appears to be, and I would ask that anyone who wants the opportunity to ask questions, and even reviewing the video of her and Quindaria Zachary's interview, she has a file folder in front of her that when she opens it up, before she opens it up, it has something white on the front that is not present on this particular file folder. So this looks like a copy of hers. And
I don't know what it looks like, but
Okay. These men are all fighting for their lives. I don't know how we get to a point where we just grab a file and then just throw it in front of a detective, and the detective's like, yeah, looks like my file, in front of a jury. And then over a lunch break, then we determine, well, it's actually not her file. And again, none of us were even told about the file before it was even presented in front of the witness. None of this makes any sense. If it's not her file, then it should have never been presented as her file in court.
well, if it's a copy of her file, I mean, why don't we just get her in and ask her?
Go get. I agree, Your Honor. And
Ms. Lev, if you'll present her with that file, please. Sergeant Gaither, do you have any idea what that document is or set of documents is that Ms. Love just presented to you?
Looks like paperwork from my case with Dexter Montgomery case. Majority of these documents say copy, so I'm assuming it's a copy.
Can you either speak into the mic more or speak up more or both, please?
It appears to be documents from the Dexter Montgomery case file. The majority of these documents have copy on it, so I'm assuming it's a copy of the file.
A copy of the file, and why would a copy of your file have been made? Because it's still in folder form.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, the original, we never But I never give out my original file
Okay.
to like the DA's office when it's requested through the complaint room or a different attorney. So I would make a copy and give that to them as opposed to the actual file, the actual original folder.
Okay, and would you put it in a folder like that brown folder?
Yeah, it would be similar to this. It would have separate things, and my case file would have like a white paper with a type form on the front with the suspect name, case number, and address.
All right. Do any defense counsel have questions for Sergeant Gaither about this file? Come on up where she can hear you.
I know it's been said in court before, but it's Sergeant, right? Sergeant?
Yes. No, retired, whatever.
Okay. Good afternoon, Sergeant Gaither.
Good afternoon.
Do you typically, when you send files to the DA's office, is your normal practice back when you were working as a police officer, would you make a copy of your file and send it to the DA's office?
If it was requested or portions of it, originally, when we send a case over, we would, whatever we have for the complaint room, copies would be made, but the actual original file would not be given.
And my understanding is that these copies would be made after arrest, after you close the case, correct?
Not necessarily after arrest.
Okay. Is that, I'm looking at a kind of rust brown file. That the typical appearance of one of the files that you would have copied or copy and send to the DA's office?
Not all the time, but I do use these file folders like this.
Okay, so there's nothing about that file that indicates that's not something you sent to the DA's office?
That I didn't?
Yes, there's nothing about that file itself. For instance, you're not saying, oh, I've never used that type of folder or anything like that. That's consistent with something that you would send to the DA's office.
I've used it in the past. I've used manila folders. I've used envelopes.
All right, and I'm going to ask, I think I know the answer, but you don't specifically remember what the appearance of the copy you made on the Dexter Montgomery case looked like?
Not the actual folder, or no, not the actual folder.
Okay, but the contents are consistent with copies that you would have made and sent to the DA's office, correct?
Yes, they have copy on it with my initials and the date.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you for telling me that. Could you show me where your initials are? So that initial right there, and I'm not trying to give you a hard time, I'm just trying to understand, that initial right there, is that in relation to that specific document, or is that the first document in the folder, so it relates to the folder itself?
If you're talking about the actual folder, not the contents, I can't say that I initialed the folder, but the contents, if a copy was made of a particular document.
Gotcha.
I wrote copy with my initials and the date.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you.
Any other defense attorneys who have any questions for Sergeant Gaither about this issue?
Not on behalf of Mr. Williams, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
All right. Okay.
May I just ask a question?
You may.
Retired Sergeant Gaither, does this file, is this the file that I asked you whether you recognized before you came in to testify the last time? This whole?
Just now, yes.
Yes. And you mean when you say just?
Yeah.
When we said the last time, are we talking about earlier today, or are we talking about in April?
Earlier today. Is this the file that I asked you if you recognize? Did I ask you before you came in here, before 11:30 and testified, whether you recognized this file.
Yes.
Did you, at the time you looked at it, notice or take note of the fact that each of the documents inside from your file had the word copy on it? Did you notice that at that time? Were you?
Yes. Notice my initials just now?
No, not just now.
Oh, no. When you, prior to, yes.
And when I spoke to you before you came in, before you testified, where there was where the jury was in here, did I ask you specifically about an incident report that is on the back page of the file folder itself regarding Demise McMullen and the kidnapping?
Yes.
Did I ask you did I ask you about if that was a part of your file?
Yes.
Did I ask you at that time about some handwritten notes that are a part of this file
Yes.
that I'm holding in my hand before you came in the last time?
Yes.
Did I? When you're describing yes, what do you mean?
When I was sitting back here in the room.
And when I asked you whose was this, did you know who it was?
No.
Did you tell me whether or not it appeared to be Detective Dennis's writing? And did this appear to you to be Detective Dennis's writing?
No.
Before you started testifying, before when I asked you about it, did you notice then, before you were testifying in front of the jury, a certified copy of a conviction for Walter Murphy in the file before you got in front of the jury?
No.
On break, while we were at lunch, did I ask you whether you got this certified copy of Walter Murphy's conviction during, or would that have been in your original file?
Yes, you asked me that.
Would,
Yes, you asked me that.
what was your answer?
No.
So this certified copy of Walter Murphy's conviction was not in your original file?
No, ma'am.
And this writing on this piece of paper I'm holding up wasn't either?
No.
Okay. But did I ask you about any of the things that had copy on them before you testified in front of the jury? Or was my question about what was in the back?
What was in the back regarding McMullen?
And when you looked at it, did you tell me that it looked like your file?
Yes.
Are the documents that have copy on them copies of things that are in your original file?
Yes.
Okay. Have I shown you any file pertaining to the Dexter Montgomery shooting other than the one that I'm holding now?
No.
Have I ever shown you these photographs that have copy on the back of them, any original of these photographs that did not have copy?
No.
Inside the video for your interview with Quindarius Zachary, are you holding a file folder in your hands?
I believe it's on the table.
It's on the table?
I believe so.
Is that the file for the Dexter Montgomery shooting or something else?
I believe it's for
Oh, I'm sorry.
Adele.
Okay, for Adele?
The one that was on the table?
Yeah.
I
Okay,
believe that was for Adele Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Yes.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Have you looked through what everyone's calling the file, but I'm referring to the brownish colored, it's being held up right now. Have you looked through all those documents by any chance today?
Not thoroughly, no, sir.
All right. If the court lets you, would you just look through it and just tell us if there's anything from your file on this April 12th, I think I got the date right, April 12th, 2015 shooting, the Dexter Montgomery shooting, that is not in what Mr. Atkins is holding right now?
I couldn't tell you every piece of information or document that should be in the original file. That was almost 10 years ago. I couldn't tell you either way.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
When you make copies of your files for the DA's office about cases that the DA's office will be prosecuting, do you omit pertinent police reports from those copied files?
Do I omit pertinent?
Do you leave things out, or do you copy everything?
If it's information that I have from my original file, it will go into the copy.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Hey, Sergeant, good afternoon.
Sir, good afternoon.
I have a couple of questions just to follow up. You testified earlier that you said portions of it I will send over to the district attorney's office. Can you tell the court, as a practice pattern of what you do in terms of getting that information to the DA's office, what are those portions that you would send over to the district attorney's office when you're sending the file over?
Well, initially, I don't know if APD still uses the complaint room or what the process is now, but that's what I followed up with that question. A lot of information would not necessarily be in a complaint room case file that you would initially send over to the DA's office. So that's what I was speaking of. You would have the original police reports. There's surveillance stills or videos, stuff like that would be sent over to the complaint room. If whatever district attorney is assigned to the case for preliminary hearings or information like that, if they would like the entire file, then the file would be copied and sent to them. So I was speaking more or less about portions of the file would be sent to the complaint room.
Okay.
If that makes sense to you.
Okay, so what are generally the documents that you, as a matter of your practice, would routinely be held back with your office, with you and your file, that would not go to the district attorney's office?
Your Honor, could he clarify when he says would not? Does he mean initially or ever?
Well,
I don't know what he means.
Okay, well, let's just break that up.
Yes, sir.
The documents that are in your file that you house in your folder as part of an investigation, you said portions will go to the district attorney's office, so that suggests to me that there are portions that don't.
Well, to the district attorney's office, I mean the complaint room. So early on in the case, when you're charged and you obtain your warrant, it has to go to the complaint room. So a lot of information or documents may not exist yet until, let's say, after you interview a person, and you may obtain more information. So therefore, it will be added to the original file.
Okay, all right. So then it's basically the investigation is continuing to be ongoing from the time that some documents make it to the complaint room and the time that other pieces of your file will eventually go to the district attorney's office at a later date. Am I understanding you?
Correct. The complaint room is part of the district attorney's office, but it's one of the initial, I guess, attorneys that touch the case. So once the case is, I don't know what the process is of assigning a case to a particular district attorney to prosecute in court for preliminary hearings or trial. The initial portions of an original case file will go to the complaint room, which is just the first portion of evidence that you obtain. So the complaint room basically looks over your case and they make the determination if it's prosecutable or you need more things to go forward with the case actually being assigned to an actual attorney.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right.
And we have the date, the email date, and the copy of the email where the state served the copy of what was shown to Sergeant Gaither today. in the original email.
So I guess just when the jury gets back out, clarify this in her original file, it's a copy of her file. And it's your belief, Sergeant Gaither, that what exists now is the copy that you made to send to the DA's office at whatever time they requested it. Is that fair?
It's fair, but like I said, it appears that they may have added some documents to that.
Once
but,
they had it in
yeah.
their possession.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. Okay, are we ready for the jury?
Your Honor, on the lunch break, Mr. Sharp handed to Mr. Atkins a thumb drive of exhibits that he said he's going to use. At the time that he gave it to us, we could not open it or access it, and I think he did something in the last few moments that allows us to access. I don't know what's on it.
Push it in.
Your Honor, we can use it now. Yeah. It's been rectified, Your Honor. Me and Mr. Sharp worked together and we
Great,
figured it out.
fantastic. I love it when attorneys can work together as professionals. That is wonderful. Okay, so you've had a chance to see what's on it?
No, we're looking.
Your Honor, because it was my fault for not being able to open it earlier, no, I have not been able to listen to all of them, but I have them.
Okay, is this?
They're all clips from the video that was.
All right, great. And is the video already in?
It is.
Okay, thank you. All right, are we ready for the jury? Yes, okay, let's get the jury. Go away. Or whatever.
Before we broke for lunch, I asked you regarding the file that you kept in the Dexter Montgomery shooting, whether or not you looked at a file before you spoke in front of the jury that contained documents. Do you recall talking to the jury about that?
Yes.
And do you recall telling the jury or telling me that it looked like the file that you kept in the Dexter Montgomery case?
Yes.
Have you had a chance to look at portions of the file even more closely while you were on lunch break?
Yes.
And does the portions of the file that you looked at have the words copy on them?
Yes.
And was the file that you saw, did it contain portions of your file, your original file?
I'm going to overrule that. I think we're just trying to get through this to establish what this is. And we all, so.
Based on information we were just given, that's a misrepresentation of what it contains.
Okay. Sustained. I don't know. Ask another question. Ask it differently.
Is the file you looked at, in fact, your original file or copy of portions of the file?
Issue. It's a copy. It's not a copy of portions.
What?
Overruled. She can say what it is or what it isn't. She can say yes or no. And then she can explain.
From what I looked at, there are documents that were in my original file, and there are documents that were added to that particular.
Before we broke for lunch, I asked you regarding the file that you kept in the Dexter Montgomery shooting, whether or not you looked at a file before you spoke in front of the jury that contained documents. Do you recall talking to the jury about that?
Yes.
And do you recall telling the jury or telling me that it looked like the file that you kept in the Dexter Montgomery case?
Yes.
Have you had a chance to look at portions of the file even more closely while you were on lunch break?
Yes.
And does the portions of the file that you looked at have the words copy on them?
Yes.
And was the file that you saw, did it contain portions of your file, your original file?
I'm going to overrule that. I think we're just trying to get through this to establish what this is. And we all, so.
Based on information we were just given, that's a misrepresentation of what it contains.
Okay. Sustained. I don't know. Ask another question. Ask it differently.
Is the file you looked at, in fact, your original file or copy of portions of the file?
Issue. It's a copy. It's not a copy of portions.
What?
Overruled. She can say what it is or what it isn't. She can say yes or no. And then she can explain.
From what I looked at, there are documents that were in my original file, and there are documents that were added to that particular file.
Okay.
It is not the original.
It what?
I don't believe that is my original file.
Okay. And in your original file, did you have information regarding a kidnapping involving Demise McMullen?
Yes.
All right. And in that report involving the kidnapping of Demise McMullen, did you have a phone number for Demise McMullen?
Yes.
And did you obtain or did you have someone on your behalf obtain records for that phone number? Cell
Yes.
phone records.
Yes.
Did the information you obtained regarding Demise McMullen after your interview with Quindarius Zachary, did it aid you in the investigation of the Dexter Montgomery shooting? Did those records that you obtained aid you in the investigation of the Dexter Montgomery shooting?
That's irrelevant.
Sustained.
Did the information that you got from Quindarius Zachary about Nard, were you able to corroborate that information?
Objection vague.
Sustained.
Were you able to corroborate whether the person listed on State's Exhibit 503 that you got from Quindarius Zachary was in fact Nard or Demise McMullen?
Yes.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, is there cross-examination for this witness?
A few questions.
All right, come on up.
Good afternoon, Detective Gaither, or Sergeant Gaither.
Good afternoon.
My name is Doug Weinstein. I represent Diamante Kendrick.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to ask you a few questions about your interview with Mr. Zachary. In that interview with Mr. Zachary, when he is asked where he got the information about the murder of Donovan Thomas, at one point, Zachary says, "Yak told me," correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you asked him why, presumably why, why did Yak tell Zachary that information? You recall asking him why?
I do.
But he didn't respond to that. He did not give you a why as to why Yak would tell Mr. Zachary that, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. The video is the best evidence of that.
Sustained.
After he didn't tell you why,
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
it's in the video.
Your Honor,
Overruled.
After he didn't tell you why, you didn't follow up at all, did you?
Follow up with what, sir?
You didn't ask him repeatedly why. You did not delve into that further. You let the conversation go a completely
objection,
different
vague
direction,
and
correct?
compound.
Sustained.
After he failed to answer your question, you did not follow up, correct?
Follow
As
up.
to why.
I'm not
Vague,
understanding. What,
objection, vague.
Follow up is a very simple
Overruled.
term. After he failed to answer your question as to why, you did not again ask why, correct?
correct.
Okay. And you also asked a little later in that same interview,
Mhm.
what exactly did they say? What exactly did Yak say? Do you recall that?
At what portion of the interview?
In what portion?
You stated that
About
later
45 minutes into the interview,
on. Okay.
okay, you say, what exactly did they say? What exactly did Yak? You don't use the word Yak, but you're referring to Shannon and Yak. Do you remember asking what exactly did they say?
I'm not recalling which context or what part of the interview you're speaking of.
Okay. So you don't remember asking what did they say?
I don't know.
I'm just want to ask, you don't remember?
Objection, Your Honor. Number one, that last question is harassing. It was asked and answered. And number two, if Mr. Weinstein has something to, she says she doesn't recall or know what he's talking about.
I can move on. It's fine.
Okay.
I'll withdraw the question. Mr. Zachary never told you in that interview exactly what Yak said, correct?
He did.
I'm sorry?
He did.
He did? What did he tell you that Yak said?
From the best of my recollection, he stated that Yak told him about the murder as well.
But you asked what exactly did he say? Right? That's what you asked him. What did Yak say? For example, correct?
I asked him what did Yak say, yes.
Right. And you asked also, what did Shannon say? Do you recall that?
I do.
And do you remember Shannon's, or allegedly, Shannon's answer, what Shannon told Zachary?
The question is supposed to be what Quindarius.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll withdraw that. What did Quindarius Zachary say that Shannon told Zachary?
That they caught Nut down bad, and he also stated that Yak told him the people that were involved with the murder, the names. That's in the interview as well, that he stated Yak said.
But you didn't get an exact quote like that. You got nothing like that, correct? You didn't get the word. Let me stop right there. You didn't get an exact quote like that, correct?
Objection, vague.
Sustained.
You did not get a quote from Zachary about what Yak allegedly said the same way that you got a quote from Zachary about what Shannon allegedly said,
Objection,
correct?
relevance, and objection, and objection, vague as to the.
Overruled. If you don't understand the question, Sergeant, just say that.
I understand this question. He gave me the names of the people that were involved. He did not elaborate more about exactly what Yak said.
Okay, but could you answer the question that I asked?
What's your question again, sir?
Can I have the court reporter read the question back? Because I doubt I could replicate it the same way.
You did not get a quote from Zachary about what
Yak
allegedly said, the same way that you got a quote from Zachary about what Shannon allegedly said, correct?
Correct.
So you didn't really ask Zachary a lot of detail as to the specific information that Mr. Kendrick, Yak, allegedly said to Mr. Zachary, correct?
Specifically, he stated the names that Yak told him that were involved.
When you are asking Zachary about Diamante Kendrick, you didn't, for example, ask Zachary the reasons that Yak may have disclosed that information to Zachary?
Objection, that would have called for speculation that she would not have been able to, that would not be admissible anyway unless it came from.
You can ask the question, whether she asked the question.
An objection relevance as to whether she would have asked Mr. Zachary to speculate about what is in Mr. Kendrick's mind.
She asked Mr. Zachary lots of questions about reasons and motivations for people doing things.
I believe Mr. Quindarius offered information about your client.
Okay, but can you answer my question?
What's your question again?
Would the court reporter please read the question back?
asked Mr. Zachary lots of questions about reasons and motivations for people doing things. For overruled.
You need the question before that.
There, yeah. No, it's my fault. I'm sorry. Thank you for your help. Could you read the question before that part?
There's going to be a lot of back and forth between the two of them before you get to the question.
We were asking Zachary about Giamatti Kendrick. You did, for example, ask Zachary the reasons that they have disclosed that information to Zachary.
Did I ask him the reasons?
Yeah, did you ask him the reasons?
No, I did not.
Okay. So really, you didn't ask Mr. Zachary a lot of questions about the specific information that he allegedly got from Diamante Kendrick.
No, that's not on the video.
Sorry?
No, that's not. On the video, no, I didn't.
I'm sorry.
No, I did not.
Okay. Let me ask you something else. There was a discussion on Direct about the shooting at Club Crucial on January 6th, I believe. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And one of the things you testified to is that Diamante Kendrick, he'd gotten arrested up the street from Club Crucial. You remember that?
I didn't say up the street from Club Crucial. She asked me if I knew that he was arrested that night of January 6th, and I stated after.
Okay.
I found out after.
You found out after?
Yes, sir.
And you know that arrest had nothing to do with that shooting at Club Crucial?
I don't know. I didn't charge him for that.
He wasn't. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So I object to assuming facts not in evidence.
Sustained.
There's been. Can I just respond? We've had officers in here
Your Honor,
testify.
Move on to the next question.
Okay. Also, earlier today, you testified when we're talking about how you corroborated information, that one of the ways you corroborated the information that Mr. Zachary gave you was because Zachary, Sledge, and Turner all were from Capitol Homes. Do you recall that?
How I corroborated information?
Yes.
I don't believe I answered. Corroboration came from them because they were from Capitol Homes.
That wouldn't make any sense, would it?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance and
overruled.
That wouldn't make any sense, would it?
To who?
To anyone, that you corroborate information because they are from Capitol Homes.
Your Honor, objection. Number one, it mischaracterizes the testimony.
Sustained.
Would them coming from Capitol Homes, them being Zachary, Sledge, and Turner, corroborate anything?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Would that corroborate anything, the fact that they are from Capitol Homes?
Are we talking about something specific involving this case?
This was your
or
testimony.
just-
I'm sorry. This was your testimony from this morning. I'm just trying to ask you a question. Would Zachary, Sledge, and Turner coming from Capitol Homes corroborate anything?
Objection. Mischaracterizes her testimony.
Sustained.
All right. I've got no further questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, come on up. This is giving me that cash is full thing.
Right here. Make sure none of my stuff is in there.
Yeah, certainly when you text me.
And
utilize that. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Former Sergeant Gaither. Retired Sergeant Gaither. I think you know this, but my name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell.
Yes, sir.
I want to first talk about this file. May I approach the witness with the file?
You may.
Can I just refer to you as Sergeant Gaither? I know you're
Sure.
retired, but okay.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Sergeant Gaither, as I understand it, you were the lead investigator on the Dexter Montgomery shooting case, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now
The secondary investigator. I'm sorry.
that shooting was from April 12th, 2015.
The secondary investigator, yes. It was originally assigned to someone, and then my unit took over the case.
You eventually took over.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as part of your duties as the lead investigator, once you took over, you maintained a case file, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that case file was an original file that would have the work you did, the police reports generated, and all the information regarding the work that you did on the case, correct?
Your Honor, these questions were asked and answered several months ago, the first time that Sergeant
Okay,
Gaither
well
was on the
then,
scene.
they were, let's not go over it
Well,
again.
we now have the case, copy of the case
Well,
file.
no, we don't.
Okay, we have the copy. So,
Your Honor, I object to the testimony. The jury has heard what the witnesses said, and I object to Mr. Sharp attempting to put information before the jury that she's not said. And
Okay, just ask her a question about
So,
it then, but
as
don't recover stuff that's already been established.
as I understand, that original case file was left in a cabinet in APD.
objection, that was asked and answered months
He's
ago.
overruled, he's just recalling her to whatever it was she said before, but move on and get
I
to
will.
whatever you want to ask now.
As I recall, you've testified that that original case file was left in the cabinet of APD when you left.
Yes.
Okay. And you have now identified that file that's next to you that Ms. Love brought to court today as a copy of that file, correct?
I don't think those were my exact words.
What are your exact words?
I stated there are portions of this file that are copies of my original file.
Okay, so let me break that down.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a copy of your original file, but then there's also additional materials that someone else added.
Objection, Your Honor, mischaracterizes what the witness said.
She can correct me if I'm wrong.
Overruled.
Is that correct? That it was your original file, that's a copy of your original file, and then someone else added some other documents?
I cannot tell you if that is my original file because I don't remember all of the contents of the original file. There are portions and documents of things that were in my original file that are now in this folder right here. And there are also portions that I don't know where they came from that are in this folder as well.
Okay. And when you make a copy of your original file and send it to the DA's office, you would want to include the pertinent parts of your investigation, correct?
Sure.
Because they're the ones that are going to be prosecuting the case, the DA's office.
At what stage of the case, like I stated to this gentleman here, different stages of the case going through the court system, you will receive different pieces of evidence. And maybe starting in the beginning, like the complaint room, you may not have all pieces of evidence or documents that'll end up in your original file at the end. So therefore, different stages that the case goes to the DA's office, you may not have all of the information.
It would contain the information for the work that you had done up to that point.
In the original file? Yes. Or portions of the file? At different stages, once again, you will receive different pieces of information. When I'm done with the case, all the information that I have for a particular case will be in that original file.
Right. And then the original file is copied and sent to the DA's office. Correct?
Sir, I don't know a different way to explain to you what
do you withhold
what I'm saying. I don't know.
Your Honor, objection as to relevance and objection, she's asked and answered.
Sustained.
Okay. As the lead investigator of the Dexter Montgomery case shooting back in 2015, do you remember the names Cornelius Davis, Carrion, Mooney and Christian James.
Objection, Your Honor. These were covered months ago. The same
Well,
question
and
was
that's why
asked and answered.
We're calling it for the jury and for the witness.
Go ahead.
Do you recall the names Cornelius Davis, Terrion Mooney, and Christian James?
Yes.
Okay, they were individuals that your investigation led you to believe were in the car with Dexter Montgomery at the time he was shot, correct?
Your Honor, this, again, asked and answered, so objection.
Okay, I mean, I don't know what we're getting at here.
I'll get there soon.
Get there really soon.
Those are individuals that were in the car with Dexter Montgomery, per your investigation?
They were victims in that case, yes, sir.
Okay. And they were also witnesses?
Sure.
All right. Your Honor, I would like to play some prior testimony from April 29, 2024.
Your Honor, I object.
Of this witness?
Yes.
I object to, the jury has already heard the testimony.
For what purpose? Y'all approach.
Shooting residences from April 28, 2015.
Yes.
Oh, and you were the lead investigator in that case?
Later on, yes.
Okay. You were the one that took out the warrants for Mr. Zachary?
Yes, sir.
All right. And he was arrested on that case on July 28th of 2015, correct?
That sounds about right.
Okay.
I'm not sure the exact date.
The charges Mr. Zachary was facing, as you took out the warrants, 3 counts of ag assault.
If you can remind me what the case, the charges are, the actual warrants, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
Everything he was charged with.
Aggravated battery for shooting Denise Bell.
If you have something that can refresh my memory, I don't know of all of the exact charges.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
All right. Did you charge him with aggravated battery?
Your Honor, the question has been asked and answered if Mr. Sharp would provide something. She's asking for something to refresh her memory.
She says she doesn't know the exact charges, so I'm trying to work through it with her. Do you recall charging him with aggravated battery for shooting Denise Bell?
Yes, I'm speaking of when you say counts, I can't recall how many exact counts is what
I
I'm
understand,
saying.
and I'm not going to press you on that. Okay. Criminal damage to property.
Okay.
Is that gang charges?
It sounds about right. I don't know off the top of my head everything that he was charged with.
You charge him with gang charges, gang act violations?
Yes.
And you charge him with possession of firearm during commission of a felony?
That sounds about right.
All right. And he also had pending, he was still on bond for it, but he had pending the case from May 5th of 2015 when an officer found a gun in Summer Good's car, correct?
Okay.
You discussed that in an interview about his bond conditions and all the rest.
I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
It was before, so I'm sure the case wasn't dissolved by the time I talked to him in August. So.
Okay, so he has this case of shooting the houses, and then he has a separate case.
The gun possession, yes.
Gun possession, right. And at the time on August 5th, from July 28, 2015, when he was arrested to August 5th, he didn't have a bond, right?
I don't recall.
Okay. All right. You talked about calls that were made in the beginning of that. You said something to the effect, this is not a quote, your people are calling me, so, I'm here now. What do you have to say?
Okay.
Is that paraphrasing? Is that
Sure.
about right? All right. And I think you testified that you gave your number to certain people related to him. Who did you give your number to?
His mother.
His mother. Okay. Is that your standard practice, to give your number to people that you arrest?
Yes,
Or the family, I'm sorry, the family members of people you arrest?
a search warrant was executed at her home. So a lot of people have my phone number. It's a common practice of mine, yes.
Okay. Kenneth Copeland, did he have your number?
You're aware that he had my number?
Okay. Did his family members have your number?
I don't think I spoke with any of his family members.
What about Miss Quarterman? Did she have your number?
I believe so.
Okay. And that was his girlfriend at the time? Mother?
His child's mother, yes.
All right. Demekion Garlington, did he have your number?
No.
Did his family members have your number?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to, and I'm specifically talking about Mr. Zachary now.
Mm-hmm.
When you made reference to people calling on his behalf or to get you to go out and talk to him, who specifically was it that was calling?
The best of my memory, it was his mother and his girlfriend at the time, Miss Good.
Okay. And these calls would have taken place in between July 28th, 2015 and August 5th, 2015. Is that fair to say? These calls would have happened after his arrest?
I would assume. I'm not 100% certain. But it was definitely after the search warrant was executed at his home.
Do you know what date the search warrant was?
I don't, not off the top of my head.
How many times did his mother call you?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance and
How many times did Summer Good call you?
relevance. Objection.
Let me ask you, are there any reports regarding these phone conversations you had with Mr. Zachary's mother or girlfriend that you generated?
No.
Okay. Were these phone calls you had with Mr. Zachary's mother and girlfriend, were they recorded?
I don't believe so.
All right. On direct, you talked about your practice of not revealing your cards first. Remember that?
I don't think I used the word cards, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Well, I'm not directly quoting you.
Okay.
But the idea that you hold back your information because you don't want the person that you're interrogating to know what you know and then structure a story around what they know you know.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. People lie in the interrogation room, don't they?
Objection, Your Honor. One, relevance as to what people do, and two, speaking on the veracity of a witness is exactly the thing that the court has instructed the witness not to do.
That's not as to a particular witness overruled.
And Your Honor, then objection, relevance as to what other people do.
Sustained.
Okay. You hold back information because you're concerned about people crafting their lies around what they would know you know.
Objection, Your Honor.
Rephrase.
Why do you hold back information from people in the interrogation room?
An objection that was asked and answered.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it wasn't asked and answered by me, and I'm trying to lay the foundation to go somewhere with this.
Okay, well, you just asked a question very similar to that, so.
Well, it was my recollection was objected to. That's why I'm asking open-ended now. Why do you withhold? I asked if she withholds information. Now I'm asking, why do you withhold information from people in the interrogation room?
Your Honor,
You just asked her about the testimony she gave on direct as to why she did that. And she answered that, yep, that was pretty much it.
Okay. In your experience, do people in the interrogation room try to protect themselves?
objection, relevance as to what people in the interrogation room do.
Are we speaking about a particular case? I mean, everybody's different.
I'm talking about in your experience.
In my experience, everyone is different. They have different reasons and motivations for what they say.
In your experience in the interrogation room, do people attempt to shift blame onto others?
Everyone has different motives and tactics that they use to try to outsmart us. Unless you're talking about someone specific, I don't want to just generalize all of my experience and all of my interrogations.
Okay, well, all right, let's talk about a specific example that came up on direct.
Okay.
Ms. Love asked you about Quindaria Zachary informing you that Woody, Kenneth Copeland, Woody, and Antonio Sledge Moontunk shot shell kill on Martin Luther King.
Shot at
shell kill on Martin Luther King.
I don't know. Objection is to,
she asked.
You know what? I'll withdraw it. I'll let him ask the question.
Thank you. Do you remember?
Shot at Kelvin Watts? Yes.
Yes. Do you remember being asked about that?
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked if Woody admitted to that when you interviewed him, right?
Okay.
And you chuckled.
I don't remember chuckling. Just now or then?
No, then.
I don't recall.
Okay.
I want to say, of course not, is what I stated.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Why did you say of course not?
Because we all know that he didn't. We watched several interviews with him, and he did not state anything about that.
Okay. That would have been against his legal interests, right?
Objection, Your Honor. As to
sustained.
In fact, Mr. Copeland said he denied doing anything out on the streets. He said that people were always throwing his name in things
Your
that
Honor.
other people did, correct?
Relevance and the best evidence was what they've already seen.
All right. Okay. Let me ask you this. You, as an investigator, wanted to talk to Mr. Zachary when you had him in the interrogation room about things he was accused of first. That was your first line of questioning, correct?
The case that I had for him, yes.
Right, the shooting up the houses from April 28th.
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, permission to publish DS-41A.
Yeah, those are all part of the. Yeah.
Right, and it's 21851 to 22201.
Your Honor, with respect to.
01, yes, sir.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay, so I would object under 403 since the jury just heard this entire interview and ask that if there's a question, that the question be posed. But this portion of the entire interview has been played for the jury.
That's true. It was very recently played. Why don't you ask questions, and then if she needs her recollection refreshed about anything, you can do that.
You focused Quindaria Zachary on the April 28, 2015 incident, right?
In the beginning of the interview, yes.
Okay. And his first thing he said to you was, "I wasn't there," correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he claimed to have information about the shooting, though, correct?
Your Honor, this has been asked, answered, and shown.
James,
Your Honor, I have not asked this
it
witness.
doesn't matter whether you particularly have asked. It's already been asked.
By the state. I'm not trying to argue with the court, but I mean, I've been up here
If
for
we
5
already
minutes.
have the answer, just move on to something that we don't have the answer to yet.
Okay. Mr. Zachary told you that Demekion told him all about what happened, correct? Demekion Garlington.
About what, sir? Which
The April
portion?
28, 2015 shooting, Sergeant Gaither.
I don't believe that was exactly what he said.
Your Honor, may I play the video?
You may.
Thank you. Can we publish 41A, Mr. Kokomo? And that is 2/1851 to 2/2201.
Talk about this. What you've been charged with. What do you have to say about the case? I went there that night. You wasn't where? What did you hear about it? Where? Salt had a house with milk to my DJ had jumped. I'm like, so? And then, you was at the house in Cleveland? Yeah. Apartment, after you said? 4 or 5 people. And then, that's when she told me, that she had got shot at too. That same night? So she said that they had gotten a whole bunch of shooting, and then like Ill Gang had pulled up at my cousin's house. My cousin go with this boy named Tate, 3, y'all know. Yeah, so I said, yeah, I don't know his name, but she was going in the house. And she said they were started shooting at the house, like they were shooting from apartment. Like she said. Where is this house located? Like you talking about Landrum apartment? Landrum and Zone 4? On campus. North campus? Yeah. So who stay over there again? My cousin Liz, right? And Tate. That's what Javante said? Yeah. She your blood cousin? Yeah. I mean, you know how people say, no, that's my real cousin. So this gang got to shoot at them at Landrum? Yeah. Is this before or after D got shot at? Got jumped on? She say it happen last. It was after all the shooting. So first D get jumped on, then the shootings happen. Y'all tell you like, from how I heard, like when I heard her. Okay. I like, shoot, most of them call me or something in the morning, let me know that. But she like, most of them cussing D out, because D telling them that he shooting, they had shoot him in the face and jump. Most of them told D they had to find around home. And then she like, then that was D told, I would sleep, D told me that morning, like, they had shot up the house. D told you that, say that you kind of skimmed over that part. When you say D, so Demekion, right? That your real name? You talking about Lil D from 30D, like Mechanicsville? Demekion. Demekion told me that they had shot at the houses. That who had shot at the houses? Him, Tay, and Shannon. He just told me nothing. He said him, Tay, Shannon, and some other boy named Trey Dunn beating Tay. Named Trey Dunn? Yeah. He told you personally. Yeah. How did he tell you over the phone? In your face? Yeah, he's over my house. So I was sitting there, like, he told me that they had shot the house, he said, and then what's called, that they shot up Larry, what Tay stayed. So if gang came back, shot up Tay house? Yeah, someone right there.
That's good.
I guess.
So, after seeing that video, you would agree that Mr. Zachary first said he wasn't there.
Yes.
but he said he had information about what happened, right?
Yes.
And he said he got that information because Demekion came over his house and confessed it all the next day.
Your Honor,
He didn't use the
I
word
object
confess.
to the best evidence. And so,
Okay, overruled.
Did you finish your
That
question?
his source, he claimed his source of information was not from being there, but from Demekion telling him the next day.
Correct. And also that portion, that first story that he just told about Demekion telling him and all of this was a lie, that he was actually there.
Well, I understand that, but that's what he told you. I'm not asking if it's true. That's what he told you.
Yes, that's what he told me.
Okay. And you had, you had records, phone records. So I'm not asking you to comment on anyone's veracity, but you weren't believing what he was saying. He wasn't fooling you when he told you that.
Your Honor, this is asked and answered, so objection.
Sustained.
Okay. Later on, you called him out. When I say later on, I'm talking about just after that clip. You called him out on what he was saying, correct? You
Your Honor,
challenged him.
Objection under 403, they've just heard and she's been asked.
Okay. He's trying to do his examination, so I'm going to overrule that one.
Thank you.
You challenged him, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he pled with you. He said, I'm being honest.
Is that a question?
Let's hear it.
Well, that wasn't on that clip. That wasn't on that clip. He told you in that interview room he was being honest, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. They saw it on the other clip. So best evidence.
Sustained.
Okay. He promised you he wasn't there, correct?
Your Honor, I object. Best evidence. The jury has seen it.
They keep
asked and answered.
If it's best evidence, I will gladly play the clip. Is that?
Your Honor, they've already seen it. This has been asked and answered.
Sustained.
All right. Okay. Still talking about April 28th.
Okay.
April 28th, through your investigation, you came to realize that there was a shooting at Landrum, correct?
No. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would object, asked, answered, and best evidence.
Overruled.
You're the lead investigator in the case. There was a shooting at Landrum, correct?
That's what Mr. Zachary stated. I don't believe I was able to find any evidence that occurred.
Okay.
Just best of my recollection, I don't believe I.
That's fair. Mr. Zachary claimed that his cousin Alexis Bryant and his girlfriend Summer Good were in that residence at Landrum when that shooting occurred. What he was claiming was a shooting occurred, correct?
Okay, yes.
All right. And the story was that Summer Good, his girlfriend, called him for help. Correct?
Yes.
All right. And as lead investigator on this case, you're aware that at Adele and Drew Drive, the subsequent shootings for which Mr. Zachary was charged, there were shell casings found on those scenes, correct?
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Zachary, you're aware that he was arrested with a certain gun on May 7, 2015.
A certain gun?
Yes.
Yes, he was arrested with a firearm.
Okay. And that was 9 days after the April 28th shooting, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the ballistics from the shell casings at the scenes that you were investigating matched the
Your
ballistics
Honor,
of the
I'm
gun
going to
that
object
Mr.
based on hearsay unless there's a stipulation. So I'm going to.
Sustained.
Okay. I will move on. Mr. Zachary, in his statements to you, stated that he didn't shoot, right? Once he admitted he was there, he claimed he didn't shoot at anyone or any houses.
Correct.
He stated that Mr. Sledge never shot.
That's what he stated, yes.
Okay. And he named 3 shooters as my client, Shannon Stillwell, Shannon Jackson, Trevante Turner, and Ali Lee Caldwell, or he said Lee.
Correct.
Okay. And you have said in court that you looked at some social media post with Trevante and Lee in it, correct?
And Traydon, yes.
And Traydon. Okay. Shannon was not in this social media post.
No.
Okay. When did you look at this social media post?
The exact date I'm unsure of, but it was during the early portion of this Operation Planners, Donovan Thomas murder investigation with the retaliatory shootings.
So that had been in 2015 you looked at this social media post?
Yes, the early part of 2015.
Okay. Did you print out that social media post?
Print it? No.
Do you have that social media post?
I did. It was on a terabyte jump drive that I had that was damaged when the city of Atlanta had some type of cyber attack. But I did have the actual photograph of it.
So we don't have that social media post in court here today?
I don't know if Ms. Love them have it. I don't have it.
Okay. Regardless of this post that you found involving that had Trevante Turner and Ali Lee Caldwell in it, you never charged Trevante Turner or Ali Caldwell with anything regarding April 28, 2015, correct?
Your Honor, I object based on asked and answered and 403, asked and answered in depth.
Overruled.
No, there was no cooperating evidence to say that they were involved.
Okay.
Outside of what Mr. Zachary stated.
And in the 9.5 years that have passed since April 28, 2015, you never charged Shannon Stillwell with any of these incidents from April 28, 2015, did you?
I've been retired since 2020.
Okay, so from April 28, 2015 to your retirement date in 2020, you never charged Shannon Stillwell with any of the events from April 28, 2015?
I have not.
Okay. You talked to Mr. Zachary about the Lil Wayne bus shooting from 2015, correct?
Briefly.
Okay, briefly. Did Quindarius Zachary ever claim to be on 285 or the highway when any buses were shot at or shot?
I don't believe so.
Okay, did he ever claim to be a witness to the actual shooting?
No.
Okay. He did tell you that someone was in a Camaro with Jimmy Winfrey, but he could not identify that person, correct?
Objection.
Both ways, Judge. Video and then play the video.
Your Honor, they just saw the video, so a waste if we want to continue and expedite.
If she can answer the question.
What's the question again? I'm sorry.
He claimed that someone was in the Camaro, the white Camaro with Jimmy Winfrey, correct?
Okay.
Couldn't.
I don't believe he stated a name.
Okay. And he claimed that at Club Compound, he saw Shannon getting into Dolly is Jeffrey's sister, correct?
Okay, yes.
Dolly's Ford Explorer.
Yeah, I don't recall.
You know Dolly's Ford Explorer to be bluish green, correct?
I'm aware of the interview, but I don't recall off the top of my head what vehicle he stated he got into.
Okay.
It wasn't the vehicle with him, with Mr. Zachary.
You know Dolly's Ford Explorer to be bluish green, correct?
Correct, so I've heard.
Okay. Have you spoken to the bus driver who was out there that night on 285 driving Lil Wayne?
I have no reason to speak to the bus driver.
Are you aware?
Your Honor, I'm going to object if Mr. Shart is going to ask about another witness's testimony or anything like that.
I don't know what he's going to ask about.
Are you aware that the descriptions for the cars...
Objection, Your Honor. That would call for speculation. She said she was not out there. And hearsay.
Overruled.
Are you aware that the descriptions of the cars